Well, this might be working. Always a little hard to tell. Things are always a little weird around here as we start an online anime convention for the first time. That's pretty exciting. I've got to get this linked, though. Where'd that go? Where did it all go? What's going on? What's happening? What is happening? There we are. Send that. Good to go. All right. Cool. We'll see if we get folks popping in. Still getting everything ready to go. And I'm going to die. I should have thought more about my setup. I should have more cool stuff back there. I just realized that. Let me get some, something happening here. Let me get something. I should have something over there, but there's really nothing. Yeah, I don't have any. Oh, there is one. There's a little hole in the wall. Where might I have something? Look at that. So if I were to do this. No, that's a dot. Dang. That's not a hole in the wall. Oh well. Such is life. Don't really have a good place. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is time for an online anime convention. Let's talk anime, discuss. In light of all of the craziness in the world right now, all of the oddities, let's talk anime. And I actually wanted to get us started by talking about a little something, and I'll see if I can pull it up here in a way that we can actually make use of. I'm not sure because it's a little funky in terms of size. But there's this actually, what might be even easier instead of doing that? Let me just switch. Oh, can I put? I might be able to put. I'm not sure. Is that it? Might be it. Is it over there? Does that do it? Can I get, maybe not. Remove. Yes. If I grab capture 2. Yep, I can. And then hopefully, well, maybe I can squish this down a little bit. There we go. So let's transition a little bit. So this is something I wanted to talk about. Somebody in the Discord, and I'll have to find out who it was. Let me just scroll up a little bit. Brad shared this not that long ago. It is I believe it's from Reddit. Yep, it's from Reddit. And it's the COVID-19 anime survival guide. So a bunch of anime to watch while you're quarantined. And some of these are obviously things that we would all probably agree with. But I want to get your guys' opinions on some of these categories. Starting with, I've never really watched anime before, but figure I might as well try it now that I'm quarantined. What would be some good anime for the anime curious? Well, assuming somebody who is, at least late teens, early adult. Recommendations here are Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Cowboy Bebop, Attack on Titan, Your Name, Einsteins Gate, and Toradora. Not sure that I'd start someone off with Toradora, personally. Toradora is a fairly anime. But seeing the Steins Gate, it seems a little out there, in my opinion. But maybe that's just me. Wondering if you all have any suggestions on that score for good anime that folks would not necessarily be into anime to watch. I do think Akira would not be a bad choice here. because it is pretty accessible to the average audience. Although they do have Akira as another recommendation further on down. So let's see here. Totoro's a bit slow at first as well. Yeah, totally. So scrolling down further, it's been a few years since I followed anime. Now I've got some time. What's been popular lately? So what are some of the big shows of the past 5 years or so? And the suggestions here, obviously Demon Slayer, Made in Abyss, Kaguya-sama Love is War, Vinland Saga, Cells at Work, and A Place Further Than the Universe. That's a little bit of a stretch, I think. I think Place Further, I don't know how popular that is. It certainly has its fans, but it's not a huge breakout hit, I wouldn't say. Certainly not at the level of like Demon Slayer. Yeah, depends on the type of TV they like to watch. That's a good point, certainly. FMA, yeah. Totally. Start with something light. Yeah, I like that idea. Start with something a little more upbeat. That's why I'm not sure Einsteins Gate is a great choice. Maybe even like a Non Biori, maybe. Although that is also kind of a fairly goofy show, but or fairly anime show. Not sure. But yeah, for stuff that's popular lately, certainly Demon Slayer, certainly Made in Abyss, certainly Cells at Work. And Cells at Work seems to have enough of a broad popularity where folks who have, even folks who aren't like big into anime tropes, they still get Cells at Work. They'll still enjoy that. I'm thinking. Just saying. Yeah, I'm not sure what else has been like hugely popular lately that I would really point people to. Place Further was an anime of the year nominated on Crunchyroll. Huh, interesting. I was not aware of that. Cool. Yeah, Steins Gate's opting for some anime fans, exactly. So there are those options. Then scrolling down further, I need something chill so I can just kick back and wait for all this to blow over. I like this category. Options are Aria the Animation, Yuru Camp, Usagi Drop, Mushishi Flying Witch, and Natsume Yujincho. And those are all really, really solid choices. You know I'm going to throw Quiet Country Cafe into this. That's just me. But those are definitely chill shows. I'd probably throw Kiki's Delivery Service into this as well, since that's pretty chill. That's a good point, Johnny. With the huge selection of modern anime, you have to tailor it to the person. Yeah, Black Lagoon can be a good first one for a lot of people. True. Other chill anime. And what I like is this is a pretty broad category. You could also go with a lot of the World Masterpiece Theater stuff. So Anne of Green Gables, Heidi of Girl of the Alps, any of those classic children's books. They did a Little Women adaptation, I think. So any of those things, there's going to be some drama in there, but it's going to be a more chill experience, I think. So I'd probably point folks to that. Yeah, this is where Nana Biori goes. That's definitely true. Definitely something chill you can just kick back and watch. I would agree with that one. Flying Witch, interesting. Cool. There's a show a little bit like that called Some Days Dreamers, which kind of came out and nobody watched. But it's sort of a teenage girl with magic powers coming to grips with her abilities, but a little bit more of an episodic sort of coming of age story. Really like that one. Early 2000s, I think. That was a good recommendation. Kino's Journey, interesting. Kino's Journey, it's interesting because it's chill a lot of the time, but then you get some really dark episodes. The one with the rabbit in the snow. Yeah, that is not a chill episode, although it's cold. But Kino's Journey has those moments of intensity. I'm thinking of the original Kino's Journey, not necessarily the new one. Interesting. I'm not sure. Season 2 of Mushishi can get a little more intense. Yeah, that's true. And Mushishi in general can be a little more intense. but the overall vibe definitely is more chill. So, Hyoka, yeah, definitely. Lucky Star, Haruhi Suzumiya, good choices, I would say. Lucky Star more than Haruhi. Haruhi's a little more spastic at times in that show. Scrolling down, I need something upbeat to help me deal with everything that's going on. So something that's cheerful and will give you that energetic punch. And Gurren Lagann would definitely be the go-to here. Barakamon, which I've seen none of, but heard very good things about. Kimi ni Todoke. Oran High School Host Club, great choice. Haikyuu and K-On! Certainly, I would say most sports anime would fall into this category. They do have, I think Ashita no Joe comes later in another category. But most of those sports anime are going to be, get on, get to it. We'll get better, we'll all get better, and everything will be great. Classic. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, very chill. That's true. And a good intro anime. Makes sense. Yeah. Good idea on Maid Dragon. Or Dragon Maid, or whatever. Other upbeat anime, Akira, of course. Let's see here. Made in Abyss. Trying to think. Trying to think of anything else. Like Nanan Biori is cute, but it's not that upbeat, lift your spirits type quite. Orimonogatari, Suzuka, yeah. I'd also say I was gonna say Gunbuster, but Gunbuster is pretty dramatic. It's pretty serious. It ends on certainly an up note, but it's more more melodrama than the rest. A lot of Gainax's stuff tends to be that way, where not too upbeat. Like Nadia is fairly upbeat, but then there's some really intense scenes. So we don't really do that. K-On! Is on con, exactly. Lovecom, yeah, fair. Then moving down a little further, I need some apocalyptic anime to match the mood right now. And love these selections. Akira, of course. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0, definitely. Those not familiar, basically a massive earthquake hits Japan right when two kids are out of the house and they need to get back home. Girls' Last Tour. Nausicaa, the Valley of Wind. Humanity Has Declined, and Devilman Crybaby. Apocalypse, certainly a major feature of anime in general. And so wondering what else you go there. These actually would be like top of mind, my recommendations, particularly Girls' Last Tour, since that is kind of very much the tone of that whole show. Apocalypse Zero, fair, yeah. You could go with A Fist of the North Star. There's a classic right there. Very apocalyptic, very Mad Max, to a fault. In fact, there are moments in Fist of the North Star where it feels like, wow, you just copied that character design, like straight up, pretty much. We go with that for sure. Wind of Amnesia, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Be a good one. I think of how apocalyptic. Excuse me. Nope, I think that fits. We haven't gotten a lot of apocalyptic anime recently. It's been more of that's more of an 80s, 90s thing. You could say Macross. I mean, the Macross movie? Really? We'll be watching some of that tomorrow. I need an anime that I'm going to be thinking about for days afterwards. So looking for an anime that is thought-provoking, that's challenging, something to really give your brain something to chew on. And again, great recommendations here. Perfect Blue, Evangelion, From the New World, Seal Experiments Lane, Technolize, and Hibine Renmei. I would throw Boogie Pop Phantom onto this, or Boogie Pop and Others. the more recent redux of that. Null and Peta, interesting. Weird ending. Huh. So one of those very thought-provoking anime. Pretty much any of Satoshi Kon's works would certainly fall into this category, I would say. Oh, that's right, Johnny. Girls' Lives, School Live. I think is the one about the girl who, spoiler alert, it's revealed at the end of episode 1. She's living in a zombie apocalypse, but she's hallucinating a normal girl's life, a normal schoolgirl life. That's School Live. And there we go. That'd be the one. Ghost in the Shell, Ghost in the Shell, definitely. I think any Ghost in the Shell work will touch on those questions of what it means to be human, how society is evolving, all that fun stuff. That'd be definitely an anime you'll think about for quite a bit. I'd probably throw Revolutionary Girl Utena in here as well. It's kind of fluffy a lot of the ways, but it is just so heavy on symbology and imagery that Utena will stick with you for a long time. I would go there as well. Bangaku Shoujo, cool. For what it's worth, I don't get too worked up over pronunciations on things, but I try. Then this is a great category. Might as well try something a bit outside of my normal genres. So somebody who is perhaps already an anime fan who wants to stretch and try something a little different, a little unusual. Recommendations here being Princess Tutu, yes. Love Live School Idol Project, Ping Pong the Animation, Shogun Roku Rakugo Shinju, Utena, which also very much qualifies here, and Patlabor the Mobile Police, which definitely works because it is this, it's basically a police drama, but with mecha, and it's sort of near future, and it's sort of a commentary on Japanese culture at the time. So a lot of sort of social commentary in there, but in this sort of abstracted sci-fi way. But it's also kind of grounded in being about just like police. So that's an interesting one. Also, the 22/7 from this past season, 22/7. That's a magical. I'm sorry, that's an idol series that's doing everything that's not a typical idol series. That'll be a good way of stretching your imagination a little bit. Cat Soup, very much so. Cat Soup would absolutely qualify. That's a weird one. Anime to keep you warm in bed alone at night. Yeah, I don't know how I would quantify that though, or how I would qualify something to keep you warm in bed at night. So these are really cool. Something to try something a little different. Yurikuma Arashi would certainly count here, since it's this weird story about desire and what the meanings of love in this highly abstracted reality. It's an odd one, but all of these are definitely great options. Level E, Kamisama Dolls. Wow, Kamisama Dolls. Gosek, yeah. Fractal, yeah, or Fractale. Chihaya Furu, definitely. Voice of a Distant Star. Cool. Samurai Pizza Cats. And then scrolling down, with all this time on my hands, I can finally tackle some longer series. So what are some shows with high episode counts that are worth kind of investing in? And that perhaps are not the typical, Dragon Ball shows where, like, I think everyone knows enough of shows like Dragon Ball or Naruto that if they want to get into it, they can get into that. So you have Gintama, shonen comedy, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, definitely a major name. Monster, slow but with good payoff. Maison Ikoku, early Rumiko Takahashi series, but more of a grounded modern romance. Chihaya Furu, which everyone seems to like. And then Eren, which is a little fantasy anime series that, as the description says, its 50-episode runtime really develops Eren to the fullest. So nice seeing one of those sorts of series. Again, I'd also recommend any of the World Masterpiece Theater anime, the adaptation of the children's classics. Those will be 50 episodes or so, and it'll be a lot of material to get through, but almost always quality. Slayers, sure, totally. I have not completed Death Note and probably never will. Minky Momo, that's a good callback. Neo Ranga, yeah, for a What Is This show? From what little I've seen of it. Can you come on? Oh, Gundam. Yeah, I mean, I would actually, that's a great call out. I would suggest folks go to, and there's actually a category further down of, okay, time to get into a major franchise. But yeah, you could just start diving into Gundam. I would do that. And most of the shows are 50 episodes, so you'll have a good amount of material to get through, no question there. Inuyasha? Yeah, totally. I just can't say that word without saying Fractale now. And then, yeah, so this is a good chance I'm going to get to watch some classic anime, and partly because so much classic anime is long. These are lengthy anime series. Back in the day, you didn't make an anime series less than 50 episodes. So recommendations here, and I would agree with all of them. Lupin the Third, Tomorrow's Joe, or Ashita no Joe, Mobile Suit Gundam, Space Battleship Yamato, Rosa Versailles, and Future Boy Conan. The last being Hayao Miyazaki's first original anime series, and only TV anime series, actually. But here again, I would recommend going back to original Macross. Go through that. Macross Plus. If you haven't seen Macross Plus, that is a foundational anime series. 4-episode OVA. You can get it done in a couple hours, and it's just mind blowing. And targeted at an older audience, which I really appreciated. But it never feels like it's trying to appeal to the adult mindset in the sense of, okay, and now they're nude. It all feels very adult for adults in a very practical, pragmatic sense, right? It's about adults dealing with adults things, finally. We rarely get that in anime. These are good recommendations. Yeah, and Yamato's only, I think Yamato's only 26. Well, there's a sequel series and so forth, which continues the story somewhat. But those are shorter, which is very very welcome. Yeah, the World Masterpiece Theater shows, really good. Tactics. Shindo ghost hunting in 1920s Japan. Ooh, I may have to track that down. That sounds really interesting. Then scrolling down, I need something to watch with my kids now they don't have school. Quick shout out to the parents out there. Little Witch Academia, My Neighbor Totoro, and much of Miyazaki's 90s work. Cardcaptor Sakura, My Hero Academia, obviously aimed at a slightly older kid audience, but still. Snow White with the Red Hair, and Digimon Adventure. It's interesting they call out just season 1. I would recommend folks go into more than just that. My love of Digimon Tamers is well known, but yeah. Cardcaptor Sakura is an interesting one because it is kind of a parody of Magical Girl. So I'd love to sit down with a mom and her kids watching Cardcaptor Sakura for the first time if they're not familiar with anime, and see how much they kind of get or appreciate the jokes about her having to dress up in a different outfit every time, and the fact that she's running around trying to take care of all this despite not being in some weird phantom zone while she's collecting the cards, like she's in real life, and just all of that sort of commentary on the weirdness of Magical Girl. That'd be interesting. So other sort of kid-friendly anime. let's see here. Oh, you like Fate Zero because they're all adults. That's a fair point. That's a good point. Yes, Lord Admiral. Star Blazers was the American adaptation of Space Battleship Yamato. That's where that came from. Obviously redubbed and re-edited somewhat. Although I'm not sure. I've only seen the first 10 episodes of Yamato, and I don't recall there being any violence that you couldn't show on American television at the time. So I wonder how much editing there was of any of that. There's probably some stuff later on that they couldn't have gotten away with. In fact, tomorrow on the SciTube, I'll be showing some of Beast King Go Lion, which is the anime that Voltron was based off of, the first season of Voltron. And that has some violence that definitely got cut from the American version, because that was some serious violence, people getting exploded. It was pretty dark, but... and in the comments, or in the description here, they obviously point out Pokemon. But that's another one of those things where I think everyone knows what Pokemon is and has availed themselves of Pokemon by this point. I say Digimon 1 through 3. Hamtaro, sure. Pizza Cats, sure. Samurai Pizza Cats, absolutely. SD Gundam, yeah. Although not like the original SD Gundam. There's an SD Gundam that was made in the 90s. It's all cell animation, and it's basically a parody OVA. And that gets kind of adult, weirdly. Not adult, it's still goofy, but it's there's glowy anime nudity and such in that, which can be a little off-putting. Yeah, animes. The anime we get over here is not really aimed at the kiddos. We don't get a lot of that stuff. Although Doraemon's out now. I'd certainly point the younger kids to Doraemon. I wonder if Disney Plus has Doraemon, because it was on XD. Yeah, good thing to point to. I wonder. I have no idea how Disney Plus is handling all that stuff that they've kind of licensed, Weird. Bodacious Space Pirates for a chill anime. Yeah, what I've seen is Bodacious. Yeah, I definitely agreed with that one. That's a good option. Removing World War II references. Okay, yeah, because Yamato is kind of call back to World War II stuff in there. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing to talk about and to go through. So if you guys have any friends who are quarantined and want to give them some recommendations, there's some stuff you can point them to. And again, that's over on Reddit. See what it's called. Whoops. Come on. There we go. The COVID-19 Anime Survival Kit. If you want to point folks in that direction and give folks your particular recommendations. All right. And I thought I'd spend a little bit of time right now. Oh, gotta move this over. No, I don't, actually. See how much the regulars remember. Thought I'd do a little bit of anime trivia for a few minutes. See how much folks in the chat know about anime. And I'll leave these up for a little bit. During my regular live streams, I show anime trivia during the lead up to the live stream. And I thought we'd go back through some of those things and see who remembers remembers those. And who can guess the answers to some of these trivia. So if I just switch over to that, he said, scrolling furiously. There we go. So there's a little trivia question there, and I wonder how many folks know the answer to this without Googling. Googling is cheating. Can't do that. Wonder who can tell me what year the first Haruhi Suzumiya novel was published. Lord Admiral, I am not familiar with the Corona-chan meme. I don't really hang out in a lot of the anime areas, since I find the level of discourse on there to be a little lighter than my preference. So yeah, I'm wondering if anyone knows or can guess the year of the first Haruhi Suzumiya light novel. For those not familiar, the Haruhi Suzumiya series started as a light novel series, then it was adapted into anime and manga and so forth. And get a few guesses here, hopefully. Few guesses. And the answer is, and this is just for fun, for a little bit. The actual answer is 2003 was the first Haruhi Suzumiya novel. So Brad's very close. Good guess there. 2003 for the first Haruhi novel. And of course, the anime came out 5 years later in 2008. No, it was 2006, I think. So just a few years later. All right, Yu Hakusho. Here's a classic anime from the 90s. Yu Hakusho. And remember the name of the main character from Yu Hakusho. I wonder. This is one that I probably would not recommend. I would not remember. Certainly recommend the show. It's a fun shonen series. Spirited Adventure stuff. Also, I love the character designs for the girls in this. I think they're very cute. Very moe characters in Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, we'll see if we get anyone here. It's one of those things, and he is a character where they mention his name a lot. Like they'll other characters yell out his name a lot. So if you've seen the show, you'll probably remember it. Nice, well done, Brad. That is Yusuke Urameshi, or Urameshi Yusuke, depending on how familiar you are with the English versus Japanese dubs there. Good one there. How about the name of the female elf in Record of Lodoss War? Famous character. Totally guessing. Because they also yell her name a fair amount in Lodoss War. And she became probably the most famous character in Lodoss War. At least certainly the one that folks became sort of iconic in Lodoss War. She's the sexy girl character. Let's be honest. Well done, Lady Ryu. Lady Ryu gets it. That is Deedlit from the Record of Lodoss War. Worth remembering that name. Plenty of fan art of Deedlit out there in various stages of dress. Moving on. How many openings did the TV anime of Bleach have? This is relevant considering that now we know we're going to get a new Bleach thing coming soon. Which of course is very exciting. See if you can guess the number here. I can say it's more than a couple. There we go. It's a fair number, and that is certainly true. Bleach, an anime with a let's just say complicated history for anime fans. That's why I'm going to switch over there. I'm not getting that. That's weird. Not seeing all of the responses to this. They're being interesting. I'm getting a weird delay on some of your responses here. I can see them coming in faster than I can see them. That's funny. Got a few guesses here. Let's go with seeing who can tell, seeing who's closest. 15 openings, so solid combi, very close. 15 opening credits themes for Bleach. Just openings, not endings. Just openings. Yes, that's right. They like their openings. Bleach certainly did. Okay, can anyone name the character in Attack on Titan who loves cleaning? I'll admit I am not very familiar with with Attack on Titan. This is not a one that I could help you with at all, but one of those things that I'm sure fans would know, fans would be familiar with. So any guesses on the clean freak, the neat freak in Attack on Titan? I wish, yes, answer in the YouTube chat. Please, please. Yeah, folks know this one. Levi Ackerman. There we go. All right. There's a pervert grandfather in Ranma 1/2. Also became fairly well known as kind of a synonym for perversion. Anyone remember who is the name of the pervy grandfather in Ranma 1/2? Ranma, certainly one of the biggest anime comedies of the 1990s, both in Japan and in America. Got a huge audience on both sides of all that, both sides of the Pacific. So this is one for the older fans, or the fans of the older stuff. See if we've got anyone getting this one. Later you guessed Genma. Yeah, fewer answers on this one. A lot of folks haven't gone back to Ranma 1/2. Yep. But it was a big deal back in the day. I'm not sure if this is this looks as probably fan art in the backhand there. Masaroshi, well, maybe where Masaroshi is based off of. Who knows? This was Haposai, the pervy grandfather. That's him down there at the bottom. And yes, he's like the size of a baby, but he is their grandfather. The parody of the, shrunken old man, Haposai there. But if you're looking for a pervert character, he's one of the originals. All right, moving on to more recent anime. In Girls und Panzer, the protagonist commands what model of tank? For those not familiar, Girls und Panzer is an anime where high school girls drive around tanks shooting at each other for fun as a school club. Yes, that is the actual concept. You may have seen like screenshots and video of girls in tanks shooting at each other, and yes, that is the premise. Like it is not misleading. That is what that is. And anyone know what the tank is? And the thing is, the show itself kind of hints at it with something that the protagonist says. So they kind of remind you of what the tank is in the show. If you watched it and you remember. Yep, Solid Company's got it right. More specifically, though, I wonder if anyone knows specifically what kind of what specifically like its model. Model. It is the Panzer IV, because the main character goes Panzer IV, which is actually German for like basically Panzer's advance, but Panzer IV, the Panzer IV, so it all kind of comes together in that way. Do you remember her yelling out? And of course, not like that. It's Panzer IV, right? Panzer IV. But yes. Really, really cute anime series, and the movie is exactly what that should be. Exactly right. All right. Again, slightly more modern anime. In what year did Sword Art Online premiere? When did that come out? For some folks, it'll seem recent. Others, it'll feel ancient. It's one of those animes that's probably considered a classic now. It's an old anime by some people's standards. Sure enough. Yes, tank drifting is a thing in Girls und Panzer as well. It is a thing, believe it or not. Frank Yeager, to answer your question, I make up the questions myself. I make them up by looking around at anime and asking what would folks maybe not know about anime. And I figured that out. So when did Sword Art Online come out, do you think, maybe? A lot of guesses. Wonder if anyone's Googling now. 2012 is correct. Nicely done. 2012. Live action SAO, that'll be interesting. The characters are definitely sort of, Japanese esque. So, not 1012 Solid Gumby. That'd be an old anime. I don't think that'd be some old stuff. All right, who is the main male character in A Silent Voice? For those of you who've seen that anime film, I'll admit I have not seen A Silent Voice myself, but I've read the manga all the way through. Silent Voice, loved that manga. I'm frankly a little worried of the movie. You know how that is when you watch, you read or experience something in one medium and you know they adapted it in a different medium. And even if folks are praising it, you know it's going to be different. And you always worry that that new experience just is going to be different enough. You're like, I wish I hadn't done that. We'll see. I'll get to it at some point. Can anyone remember his name? It is not a name that comes to me. I mean, I read the entire manga and I could not tell you this, I'll be honest, off the top of my head. Funny how some of these character names just don't stick with you. That's right, Shoya Ishida is the main character's name. Nicely done, Brad. Shoya Ishida. That is a that is not an anime that feels just kind of light and happy and fun all the time. All right, a little easier one, especially if you've seen the anime. What's used to travel through time in Steins Gate? Spoiler alert: Steins Gate does deal with time travel in its own way. Yeah, exactly, J.A. Ruenthal. Anime just started going downhill after, French Revolution. Really, the Renaissance was what ruined anime, right? All those moe Renaissance girls. I wonder, and again, if you've seen Steins Gate or you're at all familiar with it, you'll probably remember this. That's right, Shoya and Shoko. Nice ambiguous cake. There we go. They know it. It is a microwave. Microwave used to travel through time, because that's how things work. And yeah, a cell phone is also used to activate. But the microwave is the primary sort of weird technology there. Not a hot tub, different thing. All right, in the famous Daikon 4 animation, which was made by Gainax to celebrate all things anime, they forgot someone. They forgot an anime character. And in fact, they got called to task about that in a fun way by its creator. Yeah, Les Mis anime made during the time of Les Mis. That'd be pretty crazy. Surely there's a Les Mis anime. I'll have to check that out some other time. There's got to be an anime of Les Mis. Come on. Some World Masterpiece Theater thing, right? Can anyone guess who they might have forgotten about? This came out in 1983, so that'll give you an idea of what was around and what they might have missed. You got it, Spin to Win. Very good. They forgot to include Astro Boy. And Osamu Tezuka was in the audience. And he came up to them afterwards and said, that's a pretty big omission there. Like, yeah, sorry, godfather of anime. We kind of forgot your character. Whoops. Oh. But it was all over at that point. And what can you do? And apparently he was, he was amused more than anything else. All right, how old is Ash? Ash Ketchum. I think we all know this one. 10. I'm not going to dwell on that one. That one's pretty obvious. All right, let's look at Angel Beats. The protagonist of Angel Beats drew criticism for looking very similar to what other famous anime character? And you might be able to see the resemblance just in this image alone. They toned it down in later episodes. But Angel Beats came out a couple of years after this other anime series, and folks was like, she looks familiar. That's interesting. Oh, that's why. Dang it. Okay. Well done, Solari71. Haruhi Suzumiya. Indeed. Her character design, personality, very similar to Haruhi. They bounced off of that. FYI, for some reason, they set the latency on this stream to normal instead of ultra low latency. So the chat's going very slowly for me. So apologies for that. I'll try to fix that for tomorrow's stream. Let's move on. All right. Very famous anime movie. Your name. Who's the girl? What's the name of the girl? Apparently, it's more of a big deal in Japan than otaku in Japan. Oh, I'd argue that Yuripei is the protagonist of Angel Beats. And there's a male protagonist too, but I'd argue she's the female protagonist. I'd argue that they are co-protagonists in that show. I would say, personally. Ambiguous Cake says Mitsuha. Is that right, everyone? What else does everyone else say? Forgot after the movie's over. Yeah, that's the problem. You know. For some reason, Makoto Shinkai's characters, they don't really have memorable names. And yes, it is Mitsuha Miyamitsu. Again, I could not tell you, but such is life. Mitsuha, the guy. I spoiled this one. Apologies. In what year did the Haruhi Suzumiya anime premiere? I already talked about that earlier on. I'll go ahead and reveal that. That is 2006. So only a few years after the light novels premiered. All right, going back to a classic cyberpunk anime thriller. What's the mysterious hacker group in Serial Experiments Lane? One of those things you're not going to know unless you know the anime series, and even then, you might struggle to remember the name of the hacker group. Very odd name in Lane. I do love this piece of artwork. I do believe that is a Yoshitoshi Abe original. I could check, actually, I might check my art books to see if that's in there. We will see. Gosh, I love this anime series. Man, it's a good one. Just so good. We'll do just one or two more of these, and then I'll do the first giveaway of the night. Do I have the giveaway stuff in here? No, I may have to go and grab the giveaway stuff. I think it's in another room. Yeah, that's the thing. Frank, you've got it right. Not the Knights of the Eastern Calculus, but more generally known in the anime as the Knights. Well done. Going for another name here. Can anyone name the white Eyepatch girl in Another? Very important character in that anime series. Modern classic horror anime. Yeah, Night something something. Who is the white Eyepatch girl in Another, do you think might be? Another anime that I watched the first episode of and was very impressed by and never went back and watched any more of it. Not because it was bad, I just, got into other things at the time and never got back to it. Hopefully one of these days I will be able to get that one done. Get that one through the collection. Not seeing any guesses here. Oh, one just coming through here on my end. Again, apologies for the delay on the chat. We'll get that fixed for tomorrow. Here they come through. Yeah, White Eyepatch Girl. I only remember. Misaki May. Well done, Brad. Yeah, another's definitely considered a classic now. Modern classic. Who knows if it will be remembered in 20 years, but such is life. There's definitely a classic, although not as much seen these days. Trigun. Can anyone remember the exact bounty on Vash the Stampede in the classic sci-fi Wild West anime series Trigun? This would be another good one for if you're cooped up at home, you want something upbeat. I mean, there's definitely some sad stuff in Trigun, especially the end. Yeah, Trigun isn't really upbeat when it comes to the end. Not really a charming slice of life series, but it does have everything. It does do all of the things Trigun does. All the genres all at once in amazing ways. Looking for the exact bounty. In this sci-fi universe. Well done, Lord Admira. You've seen it. $60 billion double dollars, which is the currency of the Trigun universe. What's the name of the place they're at, the planet they're on? I never can remember that. $60 billion double dollars. That's a big bounty. Very big bounty for the humanoid typhoon Vash the Stampede. We'll do one more. So in that girl tankery anime, how many tankery teams does their high school field in Girls und Panzer? Yeah, Trigun's amazing. Trigun is definitely one of those things where it's like, how did this get made and why is it so impressive? Yeah, unfortunately, we're never going to see any more Trigun. Well, I shouldn't say never, but no time soon. Just does not get a lot of stuff. Gunsmoke, you're right. Well done. Gunsmoke, the name of the Trigun planet. Gosh, great name. Obviously a reference to the American Western. Planet Gunsmoke. Gotta love it. There are a bunch of tankery teams in the anime of Girls und Panzer, by the way, but the high school only feels, not that many. Johnny guesses 6. The actual answer, no one wanted to venture against 9 teams, actually. Because why wouldn't you? You have 4 girls to a tank, so 9 teams. Why not? Right? Surely your high school can field 36 girls in one club, all in tanks. Easy enough. Yeah, that's a weird one. All right, let me go ahead and find the giveaway items, which I thought I'd brought in here, but apparently not. I have some of them, but not all of them. Move this out of the way. One moment. All right, I got a bunch of stuff to give away here. And we'll be giving this stuff away over the course of the weekend. Stuff from my personal collection that I thought I would hand off to other people. And I think we're going to start tonight. Is that? Yeah, that's it. I think absolutely sure. Yep. Yep. This is the entirety of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, the anime series. Another modern classic. So Ghost in the Shell, the anime film, absolutely a classic of the early 90s. This is a TV series adaptation, so it does not tell the same story. 26 episodes of sort of near future sci-fi specialist sort of anti-terrorism police stuff. This is a really impressive show. I'm going to give that away here. And the way I'm going to give it away is the classic way. I've done giveaways here on for the past couple of weeks. We're going to play anime genre, the anime genre guessing game. I have a large, there we go. I have a large die here, which has the names of various, see, an easy one, various anime genres on it. And I'm going to roll this, and you all get to guess which genre I've rolled. Whoever guesses first will win this copy of Ghost in the Shell. And I'll just look in the chat, and if you win, I'll ask for your mailing address, and I will mail that out to you. Now let me go ahead and pull up so you all know what genres I am actually talking about. That's not it. That's it. All right. So I'm going to roll it first. All right. We've definitely got a genre. It should be reasonably easy to see. I'm going to show you now the list of genres. So in chat, guess which genre I rolled. I will mail, even if you do not live in the US, I will pay for that postage. Because I know I have an international audience, and I will live with that. So, guess the genre in the chat. Whoever gets it first will win. You must do one guess in your line. You know, no fair putting all the genres on one guess. That's not going to work. I will disallow that. Haven't seen it yet. Admiral Sheps got it. Well done, Admiral Sheps. Historical is the role. I know, a little hard to see because of the... There we go. Well done, Admiral Sheps. Please DM me or head on over to the Discord. I have a link right down there to the Discord, and private message me there with your mailing address, and you will get your copy of Ghost in the Shell. I've got plenty more where that came from. Anime and manga I'll be giving away all weekend. So don't worry if you didn't get anything this time. We got giveaways up the wazoo. And I'm just going to note down here who that goes to. So congratulations. Oh, wait. Congratulations! Yay! Well done. Love that. I just have to use it. I have to use it every time. All right, so that has been noted down. Plenty more where that comes from. All right, so it is now 8 o'clock, which means it is time for our shared cooking challenge, which means I need to transition. I need to move all this stuff over into the kitchen. So here's the question. Would you all like to see me as I switch everything over? Or would you rather I transition to sort of a transition thing while the camera shakes and moves like it's an earthquake and, angels are attacking? So which would you all prefer as I move this over into the kitchen area? And we will do that. Sometimes folks want something a little more polished. Sometimes folks want to see all the bumps and bruises. I will leave that up to you all. Because heck, this is all about you all and providing us all with entertainment here in these challenging and weird times. Just move these out of the way so I'll be able to move this more easily. All right. Some folks want transition. Do your thing. Transition, please. All right, fair enough. The people have spoken. Please stand by. Okay, oops, that's not helpful, is it? Where is... There. Turn that off. I can't find my normal cooking thing. So we're just gonna have to use this. Oh wait, oh, there it is. Cooking main, cooking camera 2. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we have a few options, but I think that'll do. So I have this camera here. You can see detail work, and now I'm up here. I don't have the chat up, but that's just gonna have to be how we deal with that, which is the life. So let's see what happens. So tonight, I'm gonna make some curry. Just from a box, from a sauce mix. I'm not really a curry guy, I'll admit. Which you can tell by the fact that this is mild curry. But I figured I would give it a try. Fortunately, there is instructions here. Now, I believe, typically, you want rice with this, which I have not cooked. So let's start that. So I do own a rice cooker, which I found to be very useful. Obviously, you don't need a rice cooker, but I got this as a gift. And I do make enough rice that it is helpful to have around. So I wouldn't tell anyone, you have to have a rice cooker. But, I wouldn't tell anyone that, you shouldn't have a rice cooker either. So let me grab the thing. But I'm a little weird in that I measure things out. I think I still have the thing in here for the yes. I measure things out by weight because I find that to be much more effective. I need to raise this up a little bit. Do I have something? Let's just grab a something to put that on. Hopefully this won't slide off. Is that... It's sliding off. That's a bit of an annoyance. Well, that'll do for now. Ah! No, it won't. Hold on. Okay. Just gonna leave that like that for now. So, this gets 135 grams of rice. In fact, I'm going to do this. Re-tear that. So we're going to do 135 of rice. Oh, look at that. That is exactly 135 grams of rice. In fact, I might as well just throw the rest of this in there. That just gets it up to 140. I can live with that. Life is good. How do I wash this? In the sink. I just put it in the strainer and then just run it like this in the water. And just shake this under running water until the water coming out the bottom runs clear. Yes, this is 135 grams of rice, which is about equivalent to a cup, dry. No, it is exactly equivalent to 1 cup dry. See how that's doing. That's almost clear. So we'll just keep on doing that for a little bit while. And here's the thing. Because I'm being very exact with these measurements, I know I'm going to get the exact same amount of rice every time. And again, if you're 1 or 2 grams plus or minus, that's not going to have a big effect. But volume is much less exact than weight. It's very easy to get a surprisingly different amount of stuff either way. So now, Boink. All of that rice goes in there. And then I add up. I think this says, yeah, I want a total of 450 grams. If I recall correctly. So that plus the water, there we go, is just enough. You're not going to be able to see that. That's fine. Oh, there we go. For my rice. And we'll get that going. Be quiet, Discord. Or be quiet. Okay. So the rice is going. We'll put the water, we'll refill the water. I like to make sure that I do the right thing by my water. I'll be honest, I don't get too worked up over the type of rice I use. More accurately, yes, rice quality makes a difference. But if, if all I have is generic store brand rice, I'll use that and I will survive. Okay. You want to stir fry meat and vegetables with oil in a large skillet on medium heat for about 5 minutes. Then you add water, bring to a boil. Reduce heat, cover, and simmer until ingredients are tender. Turn heat off. Break the golden curry sauce mix into pieces. It's actually capitalized, so I have to pronounce it that way. Into pieces and add them to the skillet. Stir until sauce mixes are completely melted. Simmer about 5 minutes. So we've got 25 minutes on that, which should be plenty of time for the rice. So let's get that going. I need some beef. I need some onions, some carrots, and some potatoes. Okay, cool. And this is actually in ounces, so I will go ahead and measure that. How much meat do I have? I have 1.11 pounds of meat. So obviously I can make this a slightly more meat-heavy dish or reserve some. I think what I'll do is... What I think I'll do is I'll cook all of the meat, but I'll reserve a little bit for something else. So I'll pull off, a tenth of a pound of meat, a couple ounces, and that should be fine. But I'll cook it with everything else. So we want 13 ounces of onion. This is another thing, depending on the weight of my onion. My onion is only 10 ounces, so that actually works well. So I will have a bit more meat, a bit less onion. They also want 5 ounces of potatoes. I actually have, this might work out well, I got some of these mini potatoes, so I will just use as many of those as makes up. Okay, so I'm a little low, so I'll do like 6 ounces of potatoes. So let me just measure this out now. And those are basically bite size. So I said I want 6 ounces, 4.6. Come on. 6.45. 6 ounces. Cool. All right. So I'm just going to move this to, this is actually the wire strainer. It's well, not a strainer, it's a steaming basket for that, but I'm not going to use that. All right, so we can get that going. I'm going to grab a nice big pan. And I might move that camera over so you can see this a little bit better. Let me see if I can't do a quick transition there and then move this over. See how hard it will be for me to move that over to here. The wire's a little caught up, but oh, there we go. Can I get that? How far can I get that? I can get it about there. So if I move that, I'm just playing around with positioning of the camera to see if I can get a good shot of the pan. That's pretty good. All right, so he's gonna move that there. If I can move it up there. Cool. Let me just transition that back. All right, so now you can see that pan fairly well. Let me add some oil. Actually, I'm not crazy about this. Hold on. I'm gonna live with it. Okay. So I'm gonna use some vegetable oil here, which has a fairly low smoke point. Meaning I'm gonna have to be fairly careful that I don't. I'll add a little bit more. In other words, I don't want to get this too hot, or it will basically burn. So we want to stir fry meat and veggies in with oil. Need my carrots as well. Let me grab some carrots. Only 3.5 ounces of carrots, and I have some baby carrots. Aren't they cute? Obviously, I will still chop these down somewhat. So we want 3.5 ounces of baby carrots. We can make that happen. That's a lot of baby carrots, actually. Whoops. And 6. 3.5. Sweet. All right. If anyone's curious, this is what 3.5 ounces of carrots looks like. So now that that's going, that's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my stuff. Need to chop the carrots and the onion and the potato. Obviously, the onion's rather more important. Actually, no, I take that back. Let me do the carrots first. Love that sound. So I'm just going to chop up these into more bite-sized pieces. Not being too worried here. I mean, baby carrots are pretty small to begin with. So I figure as long as I have some decently sized pieces here, I should be fine. Oops. Baby carrots can get away with you, get away from you pretty easily. Come on, get back there. All right. Then the potatoes, they're already pretty small. I'll chop them up into slightly smaller pieces. And yes, these are pre-washed, they're just dried. Although I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna have each of these. That should be a good, good size. And that should do it. I can feel the pan starting to heat up. Cool. Happy with that. Ah! Lost one. That's okay. I was a little generous on the potatoes. Now the onion. We'll chop the onion. Standard process. Cut off one end. Cut off the other end. Toss both. Cut in half. Peel off the outside. So now you have two very usable halves. Then you cut, and actually I prefer to cut most of the way. All the way down like this. That way it stays together. And then you can just chop this, and you have all of your pieces. Whoops, lost a little bit on that end. There we are. And then again, I will chop into the center, but not all the way. And you're right, my knife skills are not like chef worthy, but that's all right. I get by. I'm just careful. And I know that this knife is very sharp, and so I'm cautious about how I use it. I prefer chopped up onions. I'm not one of these, usually a big fan of huge pieces of onion. Okay. Then we wash that. And one nice thing is because that's a quick process, I'm not crying right now. No, I don't need anything else to clean just yet. Hey, I mean, use whatever veggies you have. Fresh, frozen veggies are actually often fresher than fresh veggies, because the frozen veggies were frozen on the farm, whereas fresh veggies may have had to spend, days getting from the farm to the wherever you bought it from. So as long as you defrost those veggies well, you may have something that's actually healthier for you. Okay, I can smell that oil. And I'm just going to do the hand test. So I'm not putting my hand in the pan. I'm putting it a few inches above the pan to test the heat. And since it's not sizzling or popping up, I'm not going to get burned. But that gives me a good idea of the heat there. So now, I'm going to go ahead and cut in to the meat. Now, this knife has now touched raw meat. Even if it hasn't touched the meat itself, it touched the inside of this plastic, which has been touching raw meat. So it is now effectively contaminated. So I am not going to use that on anything else until I wash it. So I can peel that off. And then I'm going to use this hand to scoop it in. And again, that means this is going to be contaminated. They want to stir fry the meat and the vegetables with oil. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to throw in the onions first. And then in goes the meat. Wash the hands. And I got to stir that in here in a minute. But I got to get the hands washed first. And wash, 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 wash. There we go. Yep. Sharp knives are better than dull knives because they will cut more effectively and efficiently. Okay. Hands are washed. Now I'm going to pick up that soiled knife by the handle and then just wash off the tip, so I know that's good. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a spatula there we go, and move that meat around so it's not all in one big hunk. Oh, and I got a couple of large onion slices there I'm going to remove. Not a fan of that. Alright, we'll just go. And I'll add the carrots and the potatoes. This is looking pretty good. And we're just going to fold all that in. Gotta admit, I'm liking this so far. Okay. Yep, another giant hunk of onion going out. Okay. Medium heat, 5 minutes. Then we're going to add 2 1/4 cups of water. That's a lot of water. So let's get that prepped. Say about 5 minutes. I'm just going to set this for 3. They've only been in there for a minute or so, but they're cooking pretty well. So there's 2 cups, and fortunately, my measuring cup is a little larger than 2 cups. So if I overfill it, I get 2 1/4. So that's good. Okay. We will dry that off. So there's the contaminated knife, now dried. The rice is starting to bubble. That's good. We can now get started cleaning off some of this stuff. So I can clean off the this thing, the cutting board, and the strainer. Just wash that down. I'm a big fan of cleaning as you go, as much as possible, and even better if you can, drying as you go, so that basically you are returning the kitchen to its normal state, its normal ready state, as you cook, so there are almost no dishes to do. And that means your kitchen is always ready for cooking, which is pretty cool. Okay. So again, I can dry this. Oh, I need to stir this again. You want to stir frequently so that the stuff on the bottom doesn't burn. That's really the point there. So I still have a fair amount of pink, a little bit of red in some of this meat, so I'm going to keep this on there. Keep that going. I would say, yeah, we're nearing the end of that 3 minutes. It's definitely going to need more, which should be expected. The problem is the more you stir, the slower it is to cook. So you got to find that balance. Everything is a balance. Yeah, I know. Dry up the rest of these things. There we are. We'll see how this goes. Don't drink and cook. Yeah. Thankfully, that's not an issue on my side of things. But I would definitely recommend do not drink and cook. You know, water is the one thing, but okay. Oh, then we're gonna boil it anyway. So this may not need to be cooked through the meat. Since it's gonna boil for 10 minutes, that makes sense. Okay. I'll try to get a little bit more on here, but put this away. Yep, everything in its place as best you can. That's my recipe book, the big blue binder. All right. Add water, bring to a boil, reduce heat, cover, and simmer until ingredients are tender. Approximately 15 minutes. Yeah, all right. So let's add the water. Reduce heat, cover. All right. So let's add the water, and then I'm going to kick up the heat on this somewhat to about 75%. just because typically on this range top at least, it usually needs a little bit more punch to get that going. I've got a fair amount of water in there. And I'm going to open this. We got a ways to go on this. Alright, so here's what we get in terms of the pack of the curry stuff. Interesting. Bring to a boil. Gotta wait for that to boil. This only had water in it. So I don't feel a need to wash it. It's like it had cold water in it. And if that's contaminated, we have much larger problems. That is true zombie apocalypse territory there. So that can go back in. I will not need any more oil, obviously, since that was cooking up very nicely. So yeah, this might take up a little more time than I thought. Let me find the lid. There we go. I'm going to clean that off a little bit. It's a little spotty. Like it's clean, I just left water out on it so it got, well, spotty. That's a little ugly. I don't like ugly things. Yeah, that's a little better. Still kind of spotty, but looks like I might have gotten a little bit of oil on it too. So it's streaked. Yeah. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, it's, oh well. Not the worst thing in the world. Alright, I'm starting to see a little bit of movement on the top of this. So we're getting closer. I am going to stir this once, just a little bit, to ensure there's no stickage on the bottom of the pan. That would suck. Okay, yeah, and this is cooking up nicely. So I'm seeing a lot of that redness turn to pinkness. Drinking rum and Sprite. But you sharpen knives before. That's wise. Hoisin sauce on the meat and soy on the veggies and a dash on the rice. Fair enough. Well, we can add a dash here and there. We could add a dash of hoisin sauce to this, in fact. Do I have any? Nope. I have any in here? Sadly, no. I have no hoisin sauce, so that's going to be a no. And we'll just go standard with this curry this time. We'll follow the directions exactly and see where that gets us. Seeing a little bit of movement. I got a piece of meat and a carrot that's kind of jiggling in there. Like they are literally jiggling. So that means we're getting a good amount of heat in that. So now it's that frustrating waiting game where you're like, I know it's going to happen next, and even happen after that, but now I just have to wait for it to do the thing. And now I want to eat. Oh, cool! Thank you. I will check out that mascot in a little bit. Come on. It's definitely hot. Like I'm feeling some good heat there. Now, I want to do a quick test. It's been a while since I had this knife sharpened, so I want to see. Nope. Okay. Yeah, it needs to be sharpened. I get that started. Well, actually, as long as I'm careful, I can cut a piece of paper with this. So, got a decent edge on that. Problem is that's an actual Japanese knife, so it cannot be sharpened the way American blades are. It's a different process. All right, come on. Did not realize this would take this long. The thing said, okay, add water, bring to a boil, reduce heat. I didn't realize that would be another, 10 minutes on this process. Nice trivia having it on the Discord. Good to hear. The Oncon Trivia channel. So that's cool. All right, we're trying to see some bubbling. It's definitely not at the boiling stage just yet. We are reaching a simmer, for those not familiar. You have still water. Then when it starts to bubble, that's a simmer. Ideal simmering is small bubbles all over the surface. That's sort of a classic simmer. And then a boil is big bubbles on the surface. And right now I'm starting to see a few little bubbles here and there. Now, there's so much in this, so many large pieces of meat and veggies and so forth. You're probably not going to get a full rolling boil or a full simmer out of this, because there's just no place for all those bubbles to go. Or there is place, but there's not a lot of places. You'll just get little bits here and there. But yeah, I'm starting to see some bubbles break the surface. So a few more minutes and it should be at the boil. Koyo takes you a long time, fair enough. Again, this is my first time, so we'll see. I think after this on the schedule is the D&D game. We're going to see how that goes. I'd like to pull a few folks in for the D&D game, but also my voice isn't lasting too well tonight. So we may have to change the plan for the D&D game. We'll see. If anyone has any ideas or something they'd like me to do instead of the D&D game, please let me know. I can always do a D&D game some other time. That's right. Oh, you're right. See, we have a camera on it, so it's a watched pot, so it will never boil. That's a problem. I'm just going to have to do this for the next couple minutes. Not look at it. We'll just have to keep our eyes off of it. And we'll just do that. Yeah. It's shy, right? We're like the otaku in the changing room. And it's doing the thing. So actually, I'm hearing some sounds. It's true. The saying is true. In fact, it's pretty close to a boil. Let me move some of these pieces a bit. Yeah, I definitely need to stir. What have we got? That's more of a simmer. Actually, in anime, they really do this. It's more of this, isn't it? They're doing this while they're kicking the guy. The one arm over. Seems. The improv make your own anime idea. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Animal Crossing meetup. I'd be up for that, but I don't have Animal Crossing. I'd like to, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. Ryutama fan. Nice. I have a special thing there. But maybe not Ryutama. I'm frankly not that familiar with the Ryutama system. But I do like the idea. I'm just going to cover that. It will cook faster with it covered. Maybe we will do a create your own setting thing. I think that got moved off the schedule, didn't it? No, I think it's already happened. I should check my schedule. I should know what's happening at my own anime convention. That would be a good idea. I should know my own schedule. Apparently I don't. But we'll see. I wish I could just show some anime on here, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Good. Yes, we're seeing definitely some progress there. So I'm going to lower that down, and I'm going to go until ingredients are tender. So let me check. This has already been going fairly long in there. Okay, that's definitely not tender yet. So what I'm going to do now is set a timer for... that's 15 minutes. I'm going to set a timer for 7 minutes. And we're going to see how long... We're going to see how good it is after that 7 minutes and see if it's starting to get tender. Because you never know. Different kitchens, different appliances work a little differently. So I'll move from there. Ah, nice. The original Lupin III showing right now on over on the SciTube. So if you want to check out some classic anime, head on over to the SciTube. Geek Archaeology on SciTube. So reheating is 4 minutes in the microwave. Yeah. And you got to make sure it cooks until this stuff is, well, cooked and it's tender. So once they're tender, we'll turn the heat off, break the curry sauce mix into pieces, add them to the skillet, and then stir that until melted, and then simmer for another 5 minutes. And then it will be good. So they say. That is fine. Big O! Big O, big O, big down, 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 down. I have a great singing voice, as you can tell. This is a good opportunity to grab those chunks of onion, the big chunks that I'm not going to use, and toss those in. Sadly, I do not have a compost here. That is just not one of my options in this particular condo. Used to do that at the old townhouse and had a nice bit of compost in the back I'd then use in the garden. Ooh. Let down a little bit more. We're getting some little bit of boil up there. Gotta be careful. I'm gonna stir that. How are we doing? Cool. Those pieces away as well. Ah, yes. Your rice is done. So that's good. It'll stay heated there in the rice cooker. Going in, Boy the Future 9. Great anime series. Yeah, anytime we're going off someone's big O. Someone's big O. Good, we're getting some good stuff there. I admit, I figured with COVID-19 happening, I'd be cooking and baking all the time, every day. But it hasn't worked out that way. Mainly because I've had a whole big other project I've been working on that's really taken up all of my time. And I have plenty of stuff in the freezer and the fridge and stuff and pantry to keep me going. So it's not like I need, food. But maybe as things progress, I'll make some more bread. Love making bread, and bread's easy. It's only 3 ingredients at its core, so that's my kind of go-to food. And I'm not very good at making whole wheat bread, which is healthier. So I should experiment with that a little bit and get better at making healthier breads. I'm more of a white bread guy, but trying to eat healthier, trying to be healthier, trying to exercise more, eat better food. Says the guy who had pizza and soda for dinner tonight. Oh well. Many buildings get demolished just by coming out of the ground. That's true. Mecha are not good for cities. They're pretty destructive. You got to be careful with your mecha. I love that in Girls in Panzer they actually address the fact that any infrastructure, any houses, whatever, that get demolished by a tank, get hit by a tank, get a government stipend to get rebuilt. So people actually enjoy it when their buildings get hit because they get to rebuild with all new materials, and get a better house out of the deal because they get modern construction out of it. It's pretty funny. Cool, Becca. Yeah, I would not mind doing a taco cooking more often as well. It is fun. It's good to good. good to share tips. So I'm going 5 minutes. I'm going to test it again. I'm not convinced. Ooh. That's like al dente. Little longer. Yeah, we have like 2 minutes until the 7 minutes would go off. So good. I think that'll be the point at which we can go. Want your own Gundam? Well, just you wait. I mean, they're building one. It's funny seeing some of the news reports of the Gundam that they're building in Japan, because folks are like, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a walking Gundam, so it's going to like walk around town. It's like, no, it's not. That's not what they're building. They're building a Gundam that will move its legs, but it's not going to leave that hangar. In fact, I believe it's going to be attached to the hangar. It'll be able to, like move back and forth, but it's not going to be able to, it'll be like hard tethered to that. Be awesome, but it's not going to be a fully mobile robot. Oh, you cut the pre-creepy in half. Fair enough. That's a good thought. Basically, how small do you want your pieces? I'm pretty content with most sizes of things. I don't need things really, really small, but it depends. And of course, that would also cut down the cooking time. If your pieces are smaller, they cook faster. So that's a good tip. Cut things very, very small. So, good. So I think we're pretty much there. So again, greens are tender. I'll check the meat here in a moment. And then we'll add the sauce. I'll go ahead and reveal what this looks like. I'm very curious, actually. Wow, okay. Big O! There you go. There's your curry chunks. All right. Now, I gotta test it, right? I'm not just going to trust immediately that this is all perfectly cooked. Let me grab some meat. Yeah. Good. Okay. Turn the heat off. Break bits into pieces and stir in. Wow, that is solid. Huh. Boink, 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 boink. And stir in. I'm stirring. Starting to smell like curry, definitely. You don't want to, like, drain or anything? Stir until it's completely melted. Okay. Which they said should take about 5 minutes. Fair enough. This is a lot of curry. This is a lot of curry. I did not realize. Oh wow, it's almost completely melted now. Okay. That was a lot faster than I thought. Oops. 5 minutes. Are they kidding? Like 30 seconds. Oh no, I guess there's some... Are those even lumps? I can't tell. Oh, then you simmer 5... Okay, gotcha. You until they're melted and then you re-simmer. Okay. So we'll turn the heat back on. Now that that's melted in... Oh, no, there's some... There's a big old lump. It was sitting down there. Make sure there are no more of those. Okay, I think that's good. We've definitely got a brown, viscous curry. Apologies for the bouncing around. I just want to give you a better bird's eye view of this curry and how it's, definitely thicker than just like water. So that's good. Now, of course, there's no way this is going to get back in a reasonable place. Nope. It's just going to bounce all over the place. All right, stay. Good. We're starting to get a simmer again. Good. And then simmer approximately 5 minutes, stirring constantly. Constantly. I'm not convinced that I need to stir this literally constantly, but I will keep moving the stuff around. I suspect the curry sauce can stick to the bottom and burn, or more accurately, the curry sauce on like a piece of meat can stick to the bottom and burn. That the sauce is going to make that meat stick a little bit more easily and caramelize and burn a little more easily. So you do need that stirring, but I'm not going to do anything too crazy here. I'm not going to whip it for the next 5 minutes. Be good. So yeah, we should have our curry here pretty soon. That's satisfying. Now, I did not grow up eating curry. I don't think we ever had curry in my house growing up. My mom learned to cook from Julia Child, basically, on the television, on TV. And that was just her way of doing things. And so we were more French and American kind of a family. So, steak, chicken, pasta, that kind of a thing. And so we didn't really have any Indian food. Plus, my dad just has almost no capacity for handling spice. His palate doesn't like spice at all. So we had pretty, I wouldn't say bland food, but not spicy food growing up. And it's not that my dad, dictated what we would or wouldn't eat, but my mom was sensitive to everyone's palate. So if the kids didn't like something, she wouldn't make it, and that was something that just never really worked for us much. So I have not had the pleasure of familiarizing myself with the Indian palate, and this is a thing. So we're getting a much more thick thing now. So if I do this, we're getting a nice thickness there. It's a nice flavor. A little spicy, but it's mostly flavor. It's not mostly heat. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I prefer spice to be a spice. I prefer heat to be an accent as opposed to everything in the dish. All right, that's been going for about 3 minutes. No idea how long it is. Let me just take a moment to clean up a few things. This can go over here. This can go over here. Do some more stirring. I don't have an apron. Actually, I might have an apron somewhere, but I'm not wearing one. I'm honestly pretty good about avoiding spills, I found. So the apron is just, another thing to keep around. And also that's why I wear clothes, right? So, about a minute to go on this, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue this simmer. Sorry. This is why I'm not sure I can do D&D for another couple of hours. Okay. What I'm going to do now is just turn off the heat and continue stirring while that cools. And that should be enough to keep this nice and comfortable. Yeah. That's looking pretty awesome. There's that curry. Definitely a hearty meal. A very satisfying kind of a hearty meal. Okay. Where's my... There it is. My thingy. Big O! Big O, big O, big... Grab our rice. Let me try to position this a little better. There we are, that'll do. Yeah. Ah, come on. Come on. Be kind. Be nice. There we are. There's our rice. Stir that a little more. I'm not going to chance pouring this out of the pan because I know then it's going to glop everywhere. So I think, yeah. A little trick, I use a measuring cup and use that to scoop it out. Probably too big, actually. We'll try that on the side, partly on the side. And there is our curry rice. And I gotta admit, that does look like a classic curry rice. All right, our burners are off. Our rice is going back over here. And I will turn that off because I want to cool it down. All right. Tarai gohan, exactly. Welcome, JJ. Good to see you again. Welcome back. So yeah, that's our curry rice. All right, let's transition back into the other room and we'll figure out what we're going to do for the next few hours. We might just chat, who knows? Meanwhile, please stand by. Thank you for your patience. Let me move this down a little bit. Yes, I can readjust this table. It's going to sound a little weird here. There we are. Wanted to take care of this before I wanted to go back. Oh, actually, I should. Wait a minute. Where's nothing? Main. There we are. That's what I wanted. And we're good. So let's try some of this stuff. See what we have here. Okay. Actually, it could have been in there a little longer. Like it's cooked. But it's like al dente. I'm surprised. The pieces I had before were definitely oh, well on their way. Good to know. A few more minutes would not have hurt at all. Oh man, I can't wait to finish Eizouken, and I've heard that it's got a great ending. So looking forward to that. Get my lights reset up here after all that. So, so let me check. So I know what's going on. Yes, we are doing the group world building tomorrow. I have 2 hours set aside for that, just before the weekly dig. Not that we can't do world building now, or talk about it now. But full transparency, I'm a little... Oh, you know what we can do? Instead of running D&D, let's talk about D&D. For those of you who've played or haven't played and want to discuss D&D or role-playing in general, I design role-playing games, or have in the past. And so how to play, how to get started, how to play better, all of those questions. I will gladly talk about. I have a lot of D&D stuff here. Ooh, we'll do a late night, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's literally the thing. We can talk about this stuff. We can talk about a lot of this stuff. Second edition, third edition. You can really get into it. This is a big, complicated game. I gotta admit, this curry rice is addictive. I get it now. So yeah, this is literally, I have books for every edition of D&D. To be clear, because I wanted to know how the game changed. It's geek archaeology. It is literally that, right? I wanted to talk about I wanted to be able to talk about D&D historically and say how it's changed. So Spin, you say you haven't played because it doesn't seem like something you'd be into. That's fair. You know, nothing is for everybody. But the thing about D&D is it's basically shared storytelling, right? It's saying, okay, imagine yourself as a person in this place, in this small village. You know, let's say you grew up in this small farming community out in the edge of the wilderness. You grew up here, you're a farmer, maybe you're a blacksmith, or you run the tavern or whatever. And then, you know, one day, somebody comes running into the tavern where you're sitting there eating, and they say that the dead rose up and he was in the village graveyard and grabbed his wife and dragged her into the graveyard, and they attacked him and hurt him, and he woke up and has come in looking for help, and he's bedraggled and his clothes are ripped up and he's got, you know, scratch marks and so forth, and you see this, and you know this is somebody you know, he's somebody you trust, and he says, yeah, the dead came into the graveyard and kidnapped my wife, and who knows what else they're going to do. You know, how would you react to that? What would you do? Would you go and grab weapons? Would you run to the graveyard immediately? What would you do next? And it's just responding to those prompts and saying, well, I do this. Okay, if you did that, then this would happen. There's just one thing after the other. So there are groups that are much more technical, where you're fighting monsters all the time. There are groups that are much more story focused. And so a lot of folks play D&D, or a lot of folks see D&D like, no, that's not for me. But if they found the right group, I think they'd have a lot of fun. What do you need through college? Nice. My thoughts on a Big Eye Small Mouth. I actually haven't played Big Eye Small Mouth, but I've read the book, and it seems like a fine enough system. I appreciate that it is a system that's designed more around anime, for lack of a better term, silliness, or the fact that anime doesn't try to take itself too seriously, that it can be ridiculous. And so folks can have weird powers that don't really match up very well. So Big Eye Small Mouth allows you to create those wild characters, and it still works. Yeah, exactly, Johnny. You can totally play a version of D&D where you just narrate a situation, and then you roll a die, and if it rolls high, you do well. If it rolls low, you do poorly. Yeah, I'd love to know like exactly how involved Yuasa is with these things because I mean he's making a movie a year, so clearly he's not deep involved in every single step of every single shot. He's clearly somewhat hands off, but his style certainly comes through. Right? Ah, Call of Cthulhu guy, nice. The Call of Cthulhu is a great game. Very effective at being non-survival horror. Apologies. That was a piece of beef that wasn't quite a piece of beef. Yeah. Man. Man, this stuff is satisfying. That's one of the interesting things about D&D, actually, is how much it itself has changed. The fact that early D&D was pretty simple. I mean, so this is first edition, as opposed to 0th edition, which is extremely expensive to find. And this is the rule book. This is the entire game. And it includes a bunch of monsters, an explanation of magic items, and a thing on how to be a dungeon master, how to run a game. And that's 48 pages. Right? So you can play this game pretty quickly. Maybe we could find someone to run Call of Cthulhu. It's possible. I can imagine possibly doing that one of these days. I'd have to reread through the material. I don't think I own Call. Well, do I? Let me just double check here real quick. Role playing. Documents. I have PDFs of a whole bunch of systems through various purchases, bundles and such. And I may have, yeah. I have various Call of Cthulhu's. Cool. Maybe be able to run that one of these days. That'd be fun. Something like that. I have to look up some, I wonder if there are any anime that really get across that Cthulhu-esque thing, the encroaching horror that will kill you thing, right? Where it's not just some big monster. Cthulhu stories. Getting choked up. It's so wonderful. The curry is so delicious. But no, in Cthulhu, everyone's doomed, right? No one's going to get out of here and do well. You might survive, but you'll be insane. So the copy I have is Call of Cthulhu 5th edition. Let's see here. See if I can find a quick. Okay, page 48. Rules and skills. Extraordinary circumstances. Oh, you roll D100. And its base chance of success is 50%. And then you use characteristics to modify that. So it's basically a percent chance of success. 87%, whatever. And there's actually a whole table to indicate how well you can resist certain things happening to you. As I recall, it's mostly about something bad happens and you roll to see how well you can react against it, i.e., you're going to have some negative reaction to this, but how well do you resist that so that you only take, you're only shaken slightly all the way up to being like debilitated by it. And so it's not so much that you're winning against the odds, you're fighting back. It's the fact that you're doing stuff and that is affecting you and hurting you over time. Rune Explorers, cool. I thought Rune Explorers was originally a Sword World game, as opposed to D&D, but I may be wrong about that. So my D&D stuff, these are various editions. This is actually an unusual thing. I think this might be a unique set in the sense that I've looked around online and this does not match any of the specific ones. So it could be that somebody had two sets and they were missing pieces from each one and combined them into one. This is a 1978 edition of first edition. So copyright 74, 77, 78. This is second edition, November 1978, of first edition. So it's really complicated. Oh yeah, Big Eye Small Mouth had a redux. Well, I mean, tabletop is hot right now. Everyone's loving it. So in case anyone's curious, so this was the rule book for first edition. Then it came with an introductory module called "In Search of the Unknown," with some really with some artwork. That is definitely artwork. It exists. I mean, it's 70s artwork, right? So a little story there. I should probably read this because my characters in my regular campaign are going into the underground. And then it also comes with a little advertisement for some of their magazines and a registration card, hilariously. And then you get little dice. And here's the thing. These are not current dice. This is cheap plastic dice. Like this is the cheapest dice you can possibly imagine. And that's what you got. And there is no D10 in here. It is a 6, a 4, an 8, a 12, and a 20. And even further, this is one of the old scale D20s. Anyone see what's up about this D20? Anyone recognize what's happening here? Something kind of unusual about this this D20? Yours came with B2. Gotcha. Yeah, and there were several different versions of this. But again, I don't think I have a one of the excellent versions. I think it's a kit bashed set of different versions. So you get that, and then you got the hardcover versions, and so Player's Handbook for AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which was just kind of an extension of that Dungeons and Dragons. It was like, here are more rules, but they're totally compatible. And so this is 120 some pages just for the player. So things have certainly gotten more complicated. There are more spells. Granted, there are more levels in here, more character levels. You also get some slightly problematic things in here, as I recall. Let's see if we get it. If it's in here. Races, halflings, gnomes, wisdom, intelligence, strength, weight, damage. Yes. Now I gotta change the camera so you can see this. just to see how much things have changed. Female characters have a lower maximum strength score than male characters. So female characters cannot possibly get as buff as male characters can at the upper end, as a fundamental rule of the game. Which really made female characters feel welcome, you know? Or female players, rather. And granted, there was some, medical science behind that at the time, where there were some doctors who promulgated that, but not the most welcoming of things. So yeah. Worst role-playing experience you guys have had. I can describe that one. So before anyone, I didn't answer the question. So what's different about this D20? There's no 11, there's no 12, there's no 13. It's all 0 through 9. There are no numbers beyond 10 because they didn't make them back then. There were no D20s. This was a die to roll 10s, and it was just made as a dodecahedron. And so what you did, and I don't, it's not on this die, is you would put a dot next to one of the ones, next to one of the fours, one of the threes, etc. So one would have a dot, one wouldn't, and the ones with a dot would be the 11, the 12, the 13, whatever. Yeah, well, I mean, it's the weirdness about that rule is that, like, as we know now, women can absolutely bench press, as much as a man. It's a limitation on your strength score. This idea that you can't possibly get that strong, and we know that women can do that. That there are, there may be, I'm not saying that the female body is identical to the male body, in all respects, but in terms of like how strong you can be, women can get as physically strong as any guy in any reasonable, for any reasonable measurement. So it's not just really, accurate in that sense, right? One of those things where maybe if you looked at every male bodybuilder and their maximum bench press, and every female bodybuilder and their maximum bench press, maybe there's a 5-pound difference. I don't know, but just variability between people and makes that to it washes out. Right, and it's also like, why it's a fantasy world anyway, and that kind of stuff just isn't really very. It doesn't add to the realism of the game, or it doesn't add to the it doesn't add to the fun of the game. It doesn't make the game any more interesting. It doesn't add that's not an interesting limitation, right? Where you're like, oh, I want to do this because this limitation makes the game more interesting for me. Technique matters more than strength. But again, that was gone by. Let me see. That was 80. So by second edition, that was gone. This is. This is 89, and that's gone. So we haven't had that kind of stuff in a very long time. I say that I should double check, make sure I'm not misspeaking. Yeah, no. Obviously there are racial differences, but then that makes sense. A 3-foot tall halfling versus a frost giant are going to have different maximum strengths. And that's not relevant in the vast majority of games, or not even a rule. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like in in an RPG scenario and the kinds of things that RPG characters can do, I can't imagine a situation where a female could not possibly get that strong. It just seems weird, but whatever. So then you get second edition, which is actually second edition and first edition and zeroth edition are all compatible. These were all conceived as just versions of the game that were, better organized, more cleaned up, maybe optimized, maybe some rules changed around a little bit to be more effective. But it was all basically the same game. It wasn't until third edition that they really tried to change things around and clean up. And I should also point out, again, kind of in fairness, one of the core tenets of early D&D is that these are just our rules. Like, you can have your own rules at your own table. You don't have to play our version of D&D if you don't want to. You can have, female characters who are twice as strong as male characters, right? That's fine. So there's a lot more hacking in early D&D and a lot more expectation of hacking in early D&D. And even today, folks expect that. You talk to the folks at Wizards of the Coast, and they're totally fine with that. They expect that. But people today aren't as willing to do that. That's not the expectation of players. They'll go in and rewrite and change the rules all around. So it's a weird balancing act now, where people are just more passive in their gaming. They're more used to video games where you can't change anything. So or you can't change anything fundamental to the game. Where back then they're like, well, it's like a board game. I can have my own house rules for Monopoly, so why not D&D? But these days, folks aren't as most folks just don't jump to that conclusion about games, which I think is kind of weird. So yeah. So D&D's changed quite a bit. But the funny thing is, it's kind of gone through this slope where you have first edition. Second edition is, again, kind of the same game, but more rules and more stuff. Third edition changed everything around, but added a lot more to it, and added a lot more potential for essentially optional rules you'd add onto the game. And then fourth edition sort of pivoted into a much tighter rule set, so that you could have these very intricate tactical battles, and everything was kind of relying on everything else. People kind of, some people liked that, some people didn't. It was a very divisive edition, and now fifth edition is much simpler, and it's kind of a core D&D experience. We have a lot of the basic rules there, and you can bolt on a few extra systems onto it if you want to. But the basic game, and I don't mean that in terms of a simple game, but the standard play experience is closer to like first edition, oddly enough, but now a little more cleaned up, if you will, than first edition. Or more standardized, better term. So, yeah, exactly. Homebrew, where you're making your own stuff, is can be a lot more fun, but it requires a lot more engagement from the group to be fun. You can, if you're just passively sitting there and everyone else is creating this thing, you tend to get swept up in the tide, and it's not as fun as if you're engaging it. Whereas if you're doing kind of a standard D&D world, everyone can be more on the same page. It's like anything else. Something that's aimed at a larger audience is going to appeal to a larger audience, but isn't necessarily going to be as special, as powerful, as amazing as something that's aimed at a smaller audience. How I got into D&D? That's a very good question. I got into role-playing before I got into D&D. Some friends of mine and I at a former job would hang out, and they played a lot of role-playing games, and they invited me to one of their groups, and I joined, and I did not play very well, and that campaign kind of fell apart. But they introduced me to role-playing, and they were playing this system called Nobilis, which is a very strange role-playing game. I'm glad they introduced me to role-playing with that game, because it really opened my eyes to the breadth of what role-playing could be, because it's a much more open-ended game. And so that fell apart, but not because anyone sucked, but just because that kind of didn't gel. And then a couple years later, some friends of mine who were younger than I was, like they were teenagers and I was like in my late 20s, they all said they were interested in D&D and wanted to play it, but nobody knew how to do it. No one would run the game. and I'd always been interested. So I said, heck, I'll try running a game. And so I started running. And so my first experience with D&D was as a DM for folks who, and none of us had ever played D&D before. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can homebrew D&D half to death. And sometimes that's amazing, and sometimes it's really frustrating. Partly because it's hard to get a group of people to all have the same vision for that world, if it's homebrew. And so getting everybody to move forward with the same kind of changes. So I used to run a game that was in sort of a Magitech universe where it was actually on a planet after, many generations after a colony ship, starship, had crashed on the planet, and the survivors were now living on the planet. They'd forgotten that they were from a spacefaring civilization. And so it was kind of a D&D world, but there's all this, old crashed alien or crashed human sci-fi tech hidden in various places around the world from where pieces of the ship had crashed and so forth. And so they were sort of these hidden caches that very few people even knew what they were. And that was fun, but like some players could really grasp that and grasp the social implications of that and all that. And the way magic worked was very unique. And so a lot of folks had a lot of fun with that, but others just really had a more difficult time kind of figuring out what magic would actually be like, right, if it was kind of Magitech. DM for us, senpai. I would not mind at all. I will be honest also, I had this idea for a dropped into an isekai world thing, and I kind of didn't prep for it tonight. I have some character sheets, but I don't really have any of I didn't really figure out what the story would be. And I could do some stuff there, but we'll do D&D one of these days. I'd love to do it at some point. Also, I've now realized doing OnCon that DMing for a group in the middle of a large convention is a lot different than DMing for a group of people without an audience. That having an audience is a very different experience, and I'm not quite ready for that yet. So I should not have put that on the calendar. But again, we can talk D&D and we can discuss it. But yeah, I love homebrew and I love D&D. Actually, I can share with you guys some materials. Ooh, let's do that. 1 second. I have some stuff here. Where'd it go? So these are my DM notes. So if you're curious what it's like to run a game of D&D, or what it's like for me to run D&D, I don't know about you. The thing's messing up. Okay. So I have a 3-ring binder that I use for my notes, and I'll show you why in a little bit. And I always print out a little cover piece to remind me of what the campaign is about. And this campaign is set in this city in which the player characters are mostly natives of the city. And so the city is a sort of fundamental, a central part of the game. They're not just jumping from place to place to place to place. This is home for them. And I wanted that to be central to the experience. So you open that up, and in here, you've got, in the lower left here, a bunch of names. So if I want to grab somebody's names, I can do that. And then I have, oops, I should not be showing you that. Sorry. I have not gotten permission from my player characters to let you know who they are. So apologies for that. But down here, I will show you part of it. So I have my player characters here what they're playing, and then some basic stats about them. So I can just glance down and say, oh, okay, when they try to hit you, they roll this number, and that's the, they hit or they don't hit. So that's very handy to have. And then here's just a bunch of, again, random names. So I can say, oh, you run into Agnes Bailey or Gilbert Fairchild. And it's, boom, adds a little realism to the world. And then we get over here into session notes. So let me move back a little bit. I'll show you the most recent session notes. So at the beginning, I write down what the session is, when it happens, both in the real world and in the game. I write down what the player characters are trying to accomplish in that session. We do a quick recap, and then we list, we have each player go around and say, kind of, what is your character's headspace right now? What are they trying to accomplish? Where are they as people? And so I fill that out at the beginning of the session, and then at the end of the session, I fill out what was the weather, because I always forget that. I always forget that it's not a bright sunny day or all year in the D&D world. I write down what happened, whether the characters rested or not, any new NPCs or side characters that they encountered, and then I go around and I say, what was your favorite part of this session? What did you like the most? And I get that feedback. I ask, is there anything you didn't like about the session? Anything that was slow or confusing or whatever? And then I ask, what are you going to do next? What's on the horizon for the characters? What do they want to do at this point? Because sometimes it's very obvious and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you get to the end of a big set piece and you're like, okay, we could go 3 different directions. So those are my notes, and I use those every time I'm going into a session. I look back over the notes from the previous session, maybe the previous few sessions, and see, okay, what do they like, what do they not like, where are they going, what are some characters that they've encountered that I should pull into the storyline, and that's how I keep my notes. And that's been, changing over time. And then I have information about various bad guys. So I have basic stats, special abilities they have that they can do. These villain actions are a special thing that Matt Colville suggests. It's basically a special thing that big bad guys can do on their once per round. They get a special action. It allows them to inspire their allies, or other stuff like that. So that's fun. And then I have notes about various characters as the players have said, kind of, here's my character, here's what's going on. I note those down. And sometimes I'll ask them at the beginning of the session or end of the session, I'll say, okay, tell me more about your character. Like, what are their sort of larger goals? What are they trying to accomplish? And so I keep notes on all that stuff, again, so I can tie in some plot threads. And then I've got other notes here. So this is a whole chart of weather all throughout time for the next couple of months. And so I use this to say, okay, here's what's going on in the world. And this may seem really silly, and sometimes it feels really silly, but again, it's important for the realism of your world to say, oh, it's the middle of winter, so it's snowing today, or it's overcast. It just makes the world feel more real. So I like having that. And then I have various characters that I've come up with. Some of them are just randomly generated. I'll just use various tables and so forth to come up with random characters that I can throw into the story, because the characters will sometimes come across something that I've never seen before, that I didn't expect, or they go off in a direction I hadn't planned for. And so I can use that to say, oh, you come across this person or that person that can tie into the plot. This is a neat thing that we haven't used much, and I want to use more often. It's an NPC reaction chart. It's based on a personality chart. It basically says you can be neutral. You can go off in any one of these 8 directions towards vigilance, admiration, fear, amazement, grief, etc. And there are various levels of that. And so when the characters come across somebody that they don't have any previous experience with, somebody who's new, and it may be part of what's going on. I like to roll on this chart to see what is that character's mood and reaction. So I might roll a 4, and sometimes I'll ask the players to roll. And so they roll a 4, the character is distracted or surprised or amazed. So if something major is going on, they could be just in that, surprised by this thing that's happening and not really paying attention to the characters. Or it could be annoyance, anger, rage. So, the character's annoyed by something, and that ties into what's going on. So again, the characters feel, and the rest of the world feels that it's not just a video game, right? Where everything's tied to the characters, to the player characters. Other characters have other things going on. They may be in specific moods. And then I have maps and layouts for different people, family trees, and so forth for the various major characters in the storyline. And then maps for what's going on. Here is some information on where they are right now. This may seem a little odd, but this is a map of the Underdark, which is this vast underground complex that they're in. And that is various places they might go. And this is drawn not to scale very intentionally, because when you're underground, there are lots of different, places you're going, lots of different tunnels and passages and such. I'm not going to draw out all of those passages because I'm not going to narrate, okay, you go down this passage 15 feet, then you go down this, into this cavern that's, 100 yards long and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to say, okay, you go through these various places. So I just need to know what are the major landmarks compared to each other so that they can work on that themselves. So I like doing that. The weather thing is like a farmer's almanac. Here's what the weather is going to be in the future, and because it's a made up world, I can say no, the weather is actually going to be that. It's not a prediction. It's true. I'll see if I can dig out that reaction thing and share it somewhere. I do not like alcohol. I will admit it. I will just say that right here, right now. And then here's the thing. I love it when I'm playing a game and a player character has some backstory thing that they're, working with. And this actually happened to me this week. I was listening to a D&D podcast about some lore of the Forgotten Realms world. And they mentioned a thing that ties in perfectly with his one player character's storyline. He has this sword that speaks to him that has a personality inside it. And it turns out in the Forgotten Realms, there's a dragon that likes to live inside swords. And we're not playing in the Forgotten Realms, but I was like, that's how I'm going to do that. That's how I'm going to tie all that in. And so I printed that out and put that in there. Now, the reason I use a 3-ring binder is because, I can move things in and out of this 3-ring binder very easily. As you can see, I can pop out a page, move it back in. Also, while I'm gaming, I can make notes on this very, very quickly, as opposed to like flipping through a wiki or whatever and then taking notes on that and rearranging things. And when I'm in game and I need to find something, ignoring the pages that are flying everywhere, being able to do this, boom, is actually a lot faster than using digital tools. I still use digital tools for various things, but for like notes, this is really the fastest thing I found. Cyberpunk. I once played Cyberpunk with an orc as a DM. The DM was an orc. It was an odd experience and awesome. He was a great DM or GM or whatever they call it. Immersion is a big deal for me. I want my worlds to feel real, and it's something I struggle with a lot. Is how to make the game feel like it is happening in an actual environment, and real things are happening. But all right, voice is having issues. I have an idea. I'm going to try something out real quick. Boop. Boop. See if this works. Well, that's not working. That's working. That's kind of working. That's not working at all. You have been chosen to go off on a grand... That's not working. Okay. I was planning to show a video, a panel that I did a while back, but I'm not seeing it in my thing. So let me see if I can find. No. Rendered. Nope. Where is that? I did a panel, and I can find the raw video, but the raw video isn't really playing what I'm looking for. Let me see if... That just doesn't feel right. Let's go here. Wealthy industrial. Nope. You can't see anything that I want to talk about. Darn it. Okay, that's not going to work. Sorry. Do I scan the docs into a PDF for storage long term? When the campaign is over, yes. Then all that gets scanned into a PDF and stored on a backup server that I have. And then the actual physical notes get recycled. Because I ain't going to keep around physical copies of all this stuff. That's just too much to track. I used to do that, but it's just, nah. Things getting spicy in the trivia room. Oh my. Oh my. I should check my notes, my things. Yeah, a lot of trivia stuff going on. That's awesome. Glad to see that is that's active. Oh, Anchan's awesome. That is really cool. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to do something with that. Ha! Lady Ryu, I love the I love your Anchan character as well. That's fantastic. We'll have to use those. We definitely have to use those. That's cool. There's a trivia room over in the Discord. So Discord has trivia running, and you can have test your trivia knowledge over there. And let me see here. What is the schedule for the SciTube? So we've got anime running all weekend. I can check in on that real quick, actually. No. Let me just turn off the audio. Boink. Kodan Boy the Future is currently playing over in the video room. If you want to check that out. Where are all of my things? Whoa. Don't tell me I did that. Hello? Hello? One sec. That would suck. Okay, good. Whew. Thought I killed the stream there for a second. I closed the wrong window. Whoopsie. Oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. Look in the there should be an Oncon like category of rooms, and inside there should be one called Oncon Trivia within Geek Archaeology. Oncon Dash Trivia. So yeah, thanks Brad for running that. Glad to see everything's kind of running fairly well so far for Oncon. Yeah, there's a whole section now because we have a bunch of things to do. We have artists doing their art thing. Thank you very much, Charmy Sketches. I will do what I can. I will probably throw that up on the webpage here later on tonight, once we're done streaming. So, now that we've done that, was there... Let me see here. Just want to scroll, make sure I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, cool. All right, so we have some open time to do kind of whatever we want, to talk about whatever we want. What do you all want to talk about? What do you all want to talk about? I can't talk. This is the problem. This is why D&D would be a bad idea right now. I think we got some trivia answers in here. So tomorrow, just so you all know, if I can get all my things right, which doesn't want to happen, we'll do cartoons on SciTube. So we'll just watch some anime on SciTube from 9 to 11. And then 11, I'll do some more trivia. We'll have some more discussion. I'll do another giveaway. We'll just discuss fun stuff. And then at noon, I'm going to do some kind of cooking challenge. I have no idea what. But we'll cook something. Maybe some cookies. Yeah, maybe we'll make some cookies over lunch. Just bake some basic shortbread cookies. That'd be fun. Maybe do some like anime shapes. I don't know. We'll figure something out. And then at 1 p.m., we'll start the panels. We'll have panels going until 4 p.m. for the Guess the Screenshot game show. 5 p.m. we'll watch the Macross movie over on SciTube. That should be cool. The thing about Genshiken and its relationship to Haruhi. Interesting. Genshiken, probably the first anime where the setting of the otaku club room was ever present. True. Can't think of one earlier than that. Otaku no Video obviously has it, but it's not ever present. Influence Haruhi Suzumiya. But the Haruhi Club Room is not an otaku club room, though. Really. It's just a club room. And I feel like there have been other anime set in club rooms with, central club rooms, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Let me think. There've got to be. There has to be. Weird. Why can't I think of it? Why can't I think of that? There's got to be some club room focused anime before that. Although you're right, I can't think of any. Yes, JJ, you can register for OnCon on Eventbrite. So if you just search Eventbrite for OnCon, you'll find it. It's not required. It's just a way for me to count how many people to expect here. You do not need to be familiar with Macross to watch Macross the movie. So that's a great question. Macross the movie is actually canonically a retelling of the story of Macross. And weirdly enough, the Macross movie is canonical within the universe of Macross. So the idea is, within the Macross universe, they made a movie called Macross Do You Remember Love, which retells what actually happened, in their world, but is the Hollywood movie rendition. So it's not what actually occurred. It's the Hollywoodized version of the actual story of the SDF-1. So it's a weird thing. But yet, no, you don't need to know anything about Macross to watch the movie. It is very much there. I'll tell you a few things. I mean, it kind of starts right in the middle of the action, so I'll give you guys some context if you need it. But yeah, pretty much everything else I'm streaming on SciTube. I'm starting with episode 1. So you shouldn't need to know anything about any of the shows. Let me scroll through a little bit, actually. Um, yeah, nothing really. For Dogram, it's good to know that that was Sunrise trying to repeat the Gundam formula for the first time. But that's about all. Dunbean is the first isekai anime, technically. And other things where it's like it would be, there's fun trivia about it, but nothing really stuff. Any sports anime? I don't think so, technically. Nope, not this time around. I don't have a lot of sports anime in my collection, actually. Sadly. The Nanoha movie's the same? Oh, interesting. I did not know that. Is the Robotech canon though? Well, no, because Robotech is the American adaptation of Macross and the other things. So there's no Robotech influence on Macross. Different things. So, yeah. Yeah, the Macross movie is weird because it is Macross was so popular in Japan, like the original TV series, that when the movie came out, they could assume the people coming to see the movie had seen the TV series, so they're not really trying to explain what's going on there. But technically, there's enough there for you to pick up on what's happening in the storyline. So it's a very um, um, condensed story there, very simplified in that sense. Sports anime watching party some other time. Not a bad idea. Yeah, I have some sports anime. I have, well, an anime that is sort of a celebration of sport. Battle Athletes Victory. As wacky as it is, and we saw some of Battle Athletes Victory at HomeCon. That was a weird. That's boy. It's a weird show, but it's cool. Um, yeah, maybe if I do a HomeCon or an OnCon again, we'll do a sports day in anime in the anime room. That'll be fun. Again, I haven't watched much sports anime. Part of it because I'm not a sporty guy, and the whole sports thing just doesn't really approach. Was Macross 2 ever canon? Depends on how you count it. Macross fans don't consider Macross 2 canon. Shoji Kawamori does not consider Macross 2 canon. It was basically made by from what I understand, what I've heard, Macross 2 is basically made by the copyright holders as a sequel to Macross, but they didn't involve much of the original staff. So even like the staff doesn't really consider it to be canonical, even though technically it is Macross 2. Um, so it's in this weird sort of liminal state where no one really likes Macross 2, for better or worse. It came along at the wrong time. Macross 2, one of the few anime that I stopped watching deliberately. Where I got a while through it, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm okay. I don't need to watch any more of this. Not the worst anime in the world, and not knocking it in that sense. But it just didn't speak to me at all. That's true. Ambiguous Cake. Sports anime is really about the characters. And in the case of that beach volleyball anime from a couple of seasons back, it's about the characters and the fact that they're all teenage girls. Um, but yeah, that's true. It's all about that. Tapo no Rai, the tennis anime, was that. It was the gumption of the characters as opposed to tennis per se, which is true. There we go. You type anime into YouTube, and that's there we are. And so that gets to an important thing. That is the reason why I try my best not to ever disparage anime. Any given anime series, I try not to say, oh, that was a terrible show, because any given anime was somebody's first anime or someone's favorite anime or the anime that holds a special place in their heart. And just because it didn't work for me very well, just because it wasn't my kind of a show, doesn't make it, horrible. Doesn't make it something nobody should ever watch. That's fine. But yeah, exactly. Exactly, JJ. If you have passion for Macross, Macross 2 is not what you're going to jump to. It's not like going to be your favorite Macross, probably. But yeah, love your stuff. Other anime I've dropped. Not a lot. I mean, I've dropped a lot of anime, but not intentionally. Lots of stuff where I've just been, I want to get back to this someday, and it just never did. Other anime I intentionally dropped. It's after 10, so I can mention this one, but I'm going to wait a little bit and see if I can come up with something a little less controversial. Well, let me pull up Mal. There have been a few where I've just been like, dropped. To give you an idea, my drop list is 547 items. But again, most of these are things where I'm like, I did not dislike this. I just there's only so much time. Let's see. There are some I dropped because I liked them, but I had no need to watch any more of them. So, Azumanga Daioh is a good example of an anime where I'd already read the manga, and I saw, the anime is a perfect adaptation of the manga, but I've already read the manga, so I don't need to watch the anime. Same thing with The Ancient Magus' Bride. The anime is a fantastic adaptation of the manga, but I've read the manga. I've been reading the manga, so I don't really need to watch the anime. And I know the anime is different. It's not the same thing, but it's just, I realized I have other things to watch before I have to get to that one. Let's see. There's that one. It's got to be on here somewhere. I do not remember the name of it, but it was intensely creepy because of its concept. And it will be very obvious from its thumbnail. And I'm betting it's going to be like the last thing I see. I hope I listed it on here. Maybe not. Not that one. Basically, this preteen boy goes to live at a boarding house for some reason, and he's afraid of women, and of course it's all women living there and all the teenage girls, and they're constantly trying to cure his fear of women by grabbing him and holding him against their breasts and doing all that kind of stuff, which he's intensely uncomfortable with. And they're basically forcing him to interact and to touch women as much as possible against his will. And he's clearly like 7. And it's just not only inappropriate, like imagine that gender swapped. Green, yeah. Thank you, Spend to Win. Let me see if I can find that one. Just to tell people how much it creeped me out. And again, it's one of those shows where I can imagine somebody not finding that creepy and enjoying it, but that just turned me off. Hanamaru Kindergarten, oddly, had the whole thing with the little girl wants to be the main character's bride, and he kind of laughs at that. And I don't know, it just felt it's something they threw at you in episode 1, that this little kindergartner is like, I want to be your bride, to this adult man, and everyone else is, haha, okay. And And I'm sure they're like laughing it off, but the way it was presented felt like it was intentional. It felt like that was a plot point. And so that just kind of skeeved me out. What else? I did drop Chubra as well. Chubra is an anime series about girls entering junior high, one of whom starts an underwear appreciation club, which sounds ridiculous, but I went back and checked the manga. The anime just felt really skeevy. I checked out the manga, and the manga is basically about, so the main girl, her father or her grandfather or uncle or something, makes clothes for like tween and teenage girls, including underwear. And so she's always wearing like not just like expensive, but like well tailored, well made clothes. And so she finds out that the girls around her are so uncomfortable about their growing bodies that they don't want to change, they don't want to do anything, so they're not really wearing comfortable clothes. And so the anime is about her kind of helping other girls her age, appreciating the fact that, hey, you're growing, you're filling out in lots of different ways, and every girl's different. So you need to wear clothes, including underwear, that make you feel comfortable and that support you and help you and so forth. So it's this very empowering manga. And yes, there are, occasional panels of girls in their underwear, but it's much less creepy. And it's not like all the time. Whereas the anime, the girls are standing around in their underwear all the time, and it just felt like they really pushed that in a direction that just felt, very, very heavily fan serviced. Where the manga was appropriately fan serviced, if that makes sense. And so the message really got muddled there. And so that was just, I was like, no. And also check the manga, and the manga is like there's not really much plot in the manga, so you're not missing a lot from what I could tell in that. So those are kind of the ones that leap out. I'm just gonna see if I can scroll down and see anything else here that I obviously just yeah. And obviously there's some where I watched and I was like, this just does not appeal to me at all. I've come across some anime that are clearly based on a Otome game, where it's 8 hot guys all living with one cute girl, and they're all kind of fawning over her in some way. And it's like, okay, that's fine. I understand the appeal, but just it's not for me. It can work when there's plot behind it, but I need more than just that premise. Same thing for harem anime, frankly. Oh, I actually had a similar thing with where's the thing? Listen to Me, Girls, I Am Your Father, which the first episode had some weird sort of fan servicey stuff around the younger girls in the family, which I felt uncomfortable with. Again, I've seen plenty of fan servicey stuff, but just Yeah, I can't find that one that's all fetishy about the little boy, but yeah, that's fine. You don't need to know. Wow. Saying you only like the early Beatles stuff makes you a hipster? That's going pretty far. I mean, my parents lived through Beatles mania, and they prefer the Beatles early stuff. Like they're all like, yeah, the Beatles got weird later on. What is that? It's funny how many you'll skim through these and be like, what is that? Like, did I actually watch some of that? I guess I did. I guess I've seen some of that show. I've completely forgotten it. Oh, and then of course Marmalade Boy. No, not Marmalade Boy. Kimagure Orange Road. I dropped Kimagure Orange Road. Because the main character is an a-hole. Favorite anime from the 70s and favorite from the 80s. Well, certainly, there's a lot from the 70s. I mean, you got Mobile Suit Gundam in there, right? How do you beat Mobile Suit Gundam? I'm gonna have to pick Mobile Suit Gundam, but like I love Anne of Green Gables. That is my favorite adaptation of that story, and possibly my favorite like children's anime in the sense of just the quality. I think that is just so well done on so many levels. Let's see here. I mean, there's Space Battleship Yamato, which I don't like, but I respect. Was a major step forward for anime. Captain Harlock. Oh my gosh, I love Captain Harlock. The original TV series of Harlock. My Youth in Arcadia, the movie was cool. But also, I mean, I could watch Panda Go Panda all day. Lupin the Third has its highs and lows, right? Lupin the Third's rough, but that was 71. So my gosh, they were working with, stone knives and bear skins on Lupin the Third. Why I didn't like the main character of Kimagure Orange Road? Because he is constantly two-timing the two girls who are very respectful of him. These two girls want to spend time with him. They recognize that another girl likes him as well. And, they both just want to spend time with him. And he, throughout the first, 8 episodes, whatever that I saw, he is constantly agreeing to spend time with one and then abandoning her to spend time with the other one. And then giving her a lame excuse, and going back to the first one, and going back and forth, and not acknowledging that, and not really apologizing for it, not really trying to change that behavior. He just keeps doing it over and over and over again, and I have no respect for that. Again, I understand it happening. I understand that as an occasional plot point, but as a pattern of behavior, I don't want to spend time with that person. Dump Darling the Franks? Yeah. Fair. Marco? Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Heidi Girl of the Alps apparently gets really good a few episodes in. It's very slow early on. And when I first tried to watch it, only a couple episodes had been subbed. So I didn't get a chance to get to the good parts. So one of these days I want to try that as well. I'm glad to hear that, GA, but I'm not going to spend however many episodes are in the TV series to get to that movie. Nope. I will not spend time with that person. Well, and again, so this is, and I've talked about this before. It's like Evangelion and Shinji. There are people who have a hard out with Shinji, not because he's unrealistic, but because they do not want to spend time with that character, because that character is fundamentally unfun to spend time with. I did not have that reaction to Shinji, but I had that reaction to the protagonist of Core. I don't like him as a person. I would not be friends with him. I would not hang out with him. So I'm not going to spend time with him. Yes, he is a realistic character. Yes, teenagers do that, but I don't want to spend time with those teenagers. That's my problem. And yeah, it's one of those things where people love Core, and that's great. If you're up for that, that's fine. I'm not disrespecting or disagreeing with your tolerance for that behavior. I just can't tolerate that in a main character, especially when that's the plot, right? If that was Rumiko Takahashi has characters like that. That's Ataru's thing. And I'm not a huge fan of Urusei Yatsura, but if it's a comedy and other things are going on, and there's space aliens, whatever, that's fine. But when it is a story about the romance between these three characters, and the main character is constantly two-timing them, that's just nope. So that's just those are my my triggers on that. As you can tell, that's my thing with that. Saikano, yeah. I didn't have that problem with. Is it Saikano I'm thinking of? Maybe not. No. What's the one with the girlfriend who is the living weapon and it's really, really sad? Um, oh. I think it starts with Sai. Is it Sai? I think it's Saikano with an I. Yeah, Saikano, Saikano. Which is which deals with that, and the main character pays for it immediately. He actually feels terrible about it and is torn up about it, like the episode in which it happens, and that strengthens him as a character, and it pushes him forward. And I loved that. I loved that he did that and he failed, and it was absolutely a thing, but it became a character moment. So. Yeah, exactly. GA. Ataru is a failure as a womanizer. That's the whole thing. Is that he will try to two-time a woman and then be immediately found out and be beaten to half to death over it. So I'm much more cool with that. And again, it's one of those things. Actually, Gunslinger Girls is an anime that I dropped because I didn't like how it fetishized young girls, and. The relationship between them and their handlers. It felt so. It's one of those. So Gunslinger Girls is a good example of one of those anime where, I totally understand what they're doing and that they are, exploring this very uncomfortable topic deliberately, right? Like, older men controlling these young girls and telling them what to do and complete obedience and so forth is creepy, and Gunslinger Girls treats it as creepy. Like that is a thing that the show acknowledges and the premise acknowledges. But to me, there is it crossed a line into and then we are fetishizing that for the audience and for the camera. Where it's like, you didn't have to do that. Right? You didn't have to then pull the audience into that that experience. The audience didn't have to feel fetishized. You could just have a show about that. So, the early anime that I saw that I didn't know were anime. The big one was Voltron. Growing up, Voltron, Defender of the Universe, which was very formative for me. From days of long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend. The legend of Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Loved by good, feared by evil. As Voltron's legend grew, peace spread throughout the galaxy. A galaxy alliance was formed, and together with the good planets of the solar system, they maintained peace across the universe, until a new, horrible menace threatened the galaxy. This is the story of the super force of space explorers, specially trained and sent by the Alliance to bring back Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Yeah, I memorized the opening monologue from that show. That's how strong that was. So that was a yeah. it was space fantasy. So you had science fiction, you had fantastic elements. It had a strong sense of right and wrong, while also allowing its characters to make mistakes. It was just it fit my everything I liked. And then there's other stuff that I have. I had. Anything other? I mean, obviously, any anime that existed I didn't know was anime. You know, if there were reruns of Astro Boy or Robotech, I had no idea that was anime. I actually found Robotech too grown up for me, which is weird because it would have come on when I would have been, that was what, 83, 84, so I would have been, under 10. And so Robotech was just too dark for my taste at the time. Wow, nice, Solari. Oh, I can see that Charmy Sketches. Yeah. Let's see here. Speed Racer was a thing, but I had no idea what that was. Transformers was animated in Japan, but gotta count that. Oh, there was what was that anime? Anime from like this past year about a boy who sits next to a girl who's constantly like torturing him, constantly being like really mean to him, but then smiling, and so it's all okay. And that just felt really emotionally manipulative in a way that just felt gross. Again, imagine that gender swapped, where a guy is constantly demeaning a girl, but then he looks at her nice and her heart melts. It's like, yeah. And again, I can understand why people, find that funny, but it didn't work for me. Yeah, fair enough. I'm not sure about Little Prince. I do not know. Like I'm aware of the animation, but I don't know how much it matches. I may have. Do I still have my? You know what I'm going to do right now? I have a thing I'm going to do. Give me a second. I need to look up a YouTube video. So a while back, I did a thing. Let me just turn that off. There's a YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy, who I really like. They do retrospectives on cartoon shows, American cartoon shows that had big toys. They talk about toys and such. And he does unboxing videos where folks will send him toys and he unboxes them. And so I sent him a box of my toys. And I'm going to see. There's Dan in the photo booth. That's not what I wanted. 1 second. And if I can find this video, the only thing is I forgot to name it. Like I forgot to tell him, oh, this is me. So the video starts with him saying, you should have told me who you are because there's some interesting stuff in here. That might be it. I think that's it. If you guys want to see a bunch of my old toys on the internet, yeah, that's it, including a Voltron. I'm going to paste that in. So if you want to see a guy, pawing through all of my old toys for 26 minutes, you can totally do that. And I did that because, they've been sitting in a box for 30 years. And I realized, I never play with these. I never bring them out. I never do anything with them. And I I would love for other people to enjoy them. And I considered like selling them on eBay, but I did some looking up, and I would make, maybe 30 or 40 bucks from the entire set. So instead, I shipped them off to Toy Galaxy, and that video currently has 80,000 views and 329 comments of people talking about how, oh, I had that toy, and oh, that's really cool. So ultimately, I'm really glad I did that. Like it's and obviously they're his toys now. Like I'm not gonna get those back, and I'm fine with that. Like I'm glad that other people can enjoy those things in a way that I was probably never going to really enjoy. So that's a thing. And yes, teasing Takagi-san. That was one I was thinking of. Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san. Which again just didn't really do much for me. I didn't contact him, but I did leave comments. In fact, let's see if it's in there. Yeah, so I think like the fifth comment is me saying, "Oh, hey, that's me." So you can find it. But here are all the toys I kept. Well, the few toys that I kept. I just kept a couple little things. I kept Tenchi, the McFarlane Toys Tenchi model, and his little stand. I kept Ryoko, and sadly her sword broke, but I have a Ryoko from Tenchi Muyo, rather nice, OVA, obviously. And I kept a Vash the Stampede, pretty cool, with, as you can see, the spoiler alert, the hand thing. Whoops, sorry. So I still have those. Never quite worked. Now there are a few little things in here. I mean, I have Tenchi's sword, Lighthawk sword. Some Gun Plus stuff, some old watches. I have a couple of different pins. So not really toys. This is, Project Maven pin. So a satellite. Some other random pins in here from my time at NASA. Cufflinks. This is an interesting thing. So I bought this at a Renaissance fair. Wolf on one side. It doesn't like shiny things. Wolf on one side, and a snake on the other, which I really liked for being a wolf is my spirit animal, and then the snake represents wisdom. So that kind of spoke to me. I wonder if this still fits. I got this when I was like a young teenager and wore it for years. Yeah, it still fits. I always like these, kind of. And then, is Brad still in here? Is Brad still around? I know he'll appreciate this. Now it looks like he's back in the trivia room. Oh, nice, Kaminoko. That's, yeah, the original thing. And then I did keep one of these. So, while I was working at NASA, I was involved in a Transformers-themed contest. And they gave out these little dog tags if you went to the award ceremony. Again, kind of hard to see with the shininess. No, it's not coming through at all. But it says NASA Optimus Prime Award Ceremony, April 12, 2011, and then the obviously that on the other side. So they gave me one of those for being part of that. I managed the website and so forth. Hey, Brad. So looking through the stuff I have, see if you recognize any of these. cute, aren't they? 2 monitors. Nice. This is going to be a little tough for to guess because this is obscure stuff, man. I think this is a little more obvious. So I have this whole set. Good idea, Kaminoko. I will go ahead and do that here pretty soon. I'll create a cosplay room. No, Brad, good guess though. These are the various classes from Ryutama. So these are actual figurines of the Ryutama character classes. Come on. There we go. I was lucky enough to talk to the guy who localized Ryutama, and because I helped back that and was involved, and I also made a Honobono game, as it's called, like Ryutama. I talked about that. He gave me the chance to buy some of these spare sets. Yeah, exactly. Those are Ryutama sets, Ryutama figurines. But yeah, and they were Kickstarter exclusive, and I didn't get because of when I get in, I wasn't able to get a copy of them. But like we met up at Gen Con. He was like, if you can come there with the money, I will just give you, I will sell them to you, directly. And it turns out, he said, say you made the Whispering Road, right? Like that game. Can you bring a copy to me? I said, sure, I'll give you a copy. And he took it back with him and he actually had me sign it. And he gave that copy to the creator of Ryutama. And they played a game of the Whispering Road. So the creator of Ryutama has played my game. It's a really weird feeling. I still don't quite believe it actually happened. But that's what he told me. That's what he claims. But yeah, you're right. They totally look like Made in Abyss characters. So that was a weird experience. So not to brag, just one of those. Okay, I'll do that if you want to. I don't know why he would do that. Yeah, Lord Admiral. Tomorrow I'll restart the stream with a shorter lag. Apparently, when it created the stream this time, it defaulted back to an old setting that was very, very slow. So we will get that fixed. Get that handled. Speaking of, it is 10:40, so it is coming up to the end. Do I have a copy of Whispering Road I can show you all? I don't think I have any physical copies sitting here. Let me just look through. Doesn't look like it. What is that? No, those are prototypes of other things. Just double check. No, but I can. Let me show you. I'll pull up. We can do the old PDF thing. Systems I wrote. Whispering Road. And then I want... Which one do I want? Do I want that one? Probably, yep. So let me move this over here and show you all this. Ah, of course. Adobe decides to update itself. One moment, please. There we are. So this is the Whispering Road. I don't think I can move that over there, but that's fine. It is a tabletop story game of young characters in sort of a Hayao Miyazaki-esque world. And very simple mechanics designed to be easy for kids to play. Like it's not aimed at kids, but all of the dice rolling and so forth and the math is very straightforward, so that kids won't have a difficult time understanding it. Okay, let's zoom back out. Got some lovely artwork here of the various characters exploring things. So it's again designed to evoke Studio Ghibli style stories, where it's more about young characters thrust into a new environment, a new situation, and trying to figure out how to work together to solve their problems and work things out. Got some fun artwork here of various things happening, and so it's split up into a multi-act structure, so it kind of follows the hero's journey structure. So you don't have to. Much like we talked about earlier in D&D, you can change things around, but the idea is most people don't actually have time to run a long multi-month, multi-year game. So I designed this game around 1 or 2 session stories. You get together, you play once or twice, get through a nice little story. And so it follows a simple 5-act structure, so you can structure that more easily. And so you start with entering the new world, encountering the antagonists, encountering allies, going through the ordeal, very Castle in the Sky art here, and then finally the resolution, where you're facing the big bad and finishing that out. So that is the Whispering Road. Perhaps I'll run that one of these days. We'll see. The artwork is by Caitlin Peaver, mostly. And then Claudia Cangini and Manuela Soriani kind of filled it out. Caitlin was not able to do all the artwork, so had to do that. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Enjoyed making that. It was a fun experience. Cool. Yeah, well, maybe one of these days we'll play it. Again, it's designed for shorter experiences. You can kind of get in, get out, play quickly. And yeah, I haven't followed Caitlin since she kind of dropped off of the scene not long after that game came out. So she may have a artwork somewhere, but wasn't able to keep track of her, sadly. But yeah, maybe one of these days. Maybe during a workshop Wednesday we can do a Whispering Road game. We'll see. Perhaps. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. You can find copies of it if you want to buy copies on Drive-Thru-RPG. Search for Whispering Road. Actually, whisperingroad.com will take you to the game, and you can order it from there. PDF, print, whatever, if you're interested. But yeah, I wouldn't mind running a game. Those who want to play young people struggling to find their identities and fight off bad guys. All that classic stuff. I got you, Johnny. Yeah, YouTube is defaulting stuff in annoying ways. Well, we can fix that. Cool. All right. Well, my voice is starting to fall out, so that I can still remain alive tomorrow for the meat of OnCon, I think I will stop at this point. There should still be more stuff going on the SciTube channel. So head over to scitube.com/ r/Geek Archaeology, I believe. And you can watch more anime, and it'll be transitioning over to commercials here pretty soon. And then, we've got trivia going over. I'm sure Brad is chugging along with trivia over there. I'll create a cosplay channel over in the Discord here in a little bit. And so I think we will reconvene. Like I said, 9 a.m. We'll just be on the SciTube until 11 a.m. and I'll start the stream up at 11 a.m. to start our general discussions and trivia and all that kind of stuff. That'll be the plan for tomorrow. And we'll do Saturday morning cartoons from 9 to 11 tomorrow morning. So, that's the plan. Cool. All right, I think that'll do it for us for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining me for OnCon Day 1. This is a smashing success as far as I'm concerned. And see you all tomorrow morning for that. Yeah. Yay! It's all good. Thank you all very much. Have a great one. More giveaways tomorrow. More fun stuff coming. More trivia. Trivia's over. Fair enough. I didn't, there's a lot of trivia to do, Brad. So that's totally fine. Cool. All right. See y'all. Have a good one. Take care.